Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. Thank you for joining us again this afternoon. Those of you who are back for the advanced, you might have attended the basics on Tuesday, and you thought, well, I can't miss the advanced, and so here you are. Without much further ado, I just want to thank you, Christo and Tafadzwa. Thank you guys for your preparation for this. I can see that you've been hard at work, and I know that you're ready for this. And yeah, we're looking forward to seeing your presentations. So without much further ado, Christo, can I please ask you to take the screen share, and I'll just confirm that it's coming through. There we go. And then also just a big thank you to Clarissa, who is off camera. She's working in the background. She actually schedules all of these things, puts them together, and also handles most of the Q&A. I think probably 95% of it. So thank you for doing that in the background there, see. All right, there we go. Christo, we can see your screen. It's looking good. You two are looking amazing. Over to you both. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shane. Thank you so much. And yeah, thanks again. Thanks everyone for joining. I see the numbers are still climbing on people joining, and I really appreciate that. And thank you for, yeah, again, Clarissa, for doing the Q&A. I know it's a mission. I helped out a little bit on Tuesday, and there's 1,000 questions, and you answer them like lightning. And yeah, thanks again to all of the Draftworx team that also is watching. We appreciate having you guys and supporting us. So just to start, as Shane mentioned, CPD certificates will be issued to you guys. It takes about a day or two, and then it gets through to you. And then the same with the video, we just need to edit it, make sure it looks good, all the sound is good. And from there, we essentially then upload it, and we'll email everyone and so on as well. So just to be aware of that. And yeah. Then to chat a little bit about today's session, well, we're going to first show you just a couple of things that we're working on Draftworx Cloud, specifically some items that our developers are very hard at work for. And then we're going to show, and we're going to go through a few advanced features. So this is the advanced session. So the things that we're covering is quite a little bit more complex, a little bit harder to do if you don't know accounting. So just make sure you stay focused. I hope everyone's got their coffee ready and all of those kind of things. But yeah, we'll be ready to rumble. So what I want to start off actually with is to show you guys one of the things that we have in testing and that we're busy working on. And I'm actually just going to kill my video there, and then you can just see our screen. So one of the things that we're busy working on is update to essentially what we call, at the moment, we call it spreadsheet gear. So it is, oh, not spreadsheet gear, sorry, Firesheet. So it's the system that we use that looks like Excel, that we all work on when we work on the financials. And we've been working extremely hard, and we've been getting an update through, and we're actually now working with a partner that should hopefully make life 1,000 times easier. There's a system that we're using, and I'm going to load it up now. You can see it looks a little bit different already to what you're used to. And this is essentially the new system that we'll be using. Now, it looks very similar to what we have at the moment. There are a few differences, though. So you can see like the buttons, the colors are different. The layouts are a little bit different to how the things look. Some of the buttons look odd and so on. But we've tried to keep everything the same. So you can see we've put the same buttons in the same place. All of those kind of things, it's all there. So it's not that it's going to be completely new, but we did want to make everyone aware of it. This is still in testing, and we're still working on this, but it will hopefully get out very soon to everyone. And I wanted to show it today so that everyone is aware that if you do eventually log on and everything looks a little bit different, don't panic. It's upgrades and updates that we're doing on our side. And once we do release that, please, you're welcome to send feedback. We are really excited about this. This brings in a lot of additional things which we've been working hard to bring in, and a lot more Excel features, a lot more Excel formula supports and so on. And it's some things that we're really excited about that's going to come in here and yeah, just work extremely well. And on top of that, we're really hoping to get collaboration in here as well. And it's one of those things that is extremely difficult, because collaboration in real time, well, I'll put it like this. Me and Tafadzwa, when we were working on this webinar, we've been working on a shared document that Windows built. And we broke that a few times because we're collaborating and even Windows can't get it completely right. So we're working extremely hard to get that right and to minimize any kind of issues that might pop up because, well, we want to give you guys a solid product on our side. But yeah, like I said, I just wanted to show you this. When you do see the visual change pop up, be aware that nothing is broken, nothing is going crazy. It's literally just our new version that's coming out. It should come with a lot of improvements, and we're very excited to release it for you guys in the near future. Then the other one that we mentioned quite a few times on Tuesday, we spoke quite a little bit about Client Portal, and we got some documents from there. We were chatting to, Mr. Baguette from there, and the Client Portal, to just explain it a little bit more, is we've actually released it on live in beta already. So there are some practices that are using it, and from our side, we're going to show it a bit more today, and we welcome you. If you're interested, you're welcome to send us a mail and we will activate it for you in this beta period. We're going to be activating it soon for everyone anyway, so if you don't want to join the beta, you're welcome to just wait for it, and it's going to come out soon as well. The Client Portal, as mentioned, it's a communication between you and the client as well as an auditor, and you can just have all of your documentation, all of your requests, all of your requirements in one location, and it's not split between emails and things are lying on different computers, all of those kind of things. And so just to be sure, like I said, we will be releasing it, and if you're interested, we're going to show a little bit more how to set it up and a few things like that today. So if you're interested, just give us a heads up. You can email support and you can just ask for it and we can activate it your side. You're welcome to play around. And on top of that, with the Client Portal, if you start using it and you're like, yes, this is cool, but this would be even cooler, like drop us some feature requests, some things like let your mind go wild a little bit. Think of some nice things that you would love to show your clients and present to your clients. And we're definitely taking all of that into account as we build the Client Portal. It's something that we really are hoping to show quite soon. So I quickly want to show just how it looks from the start. And clicking on this little item at the top here, you can see it's a little globe icon. That's going to jump me to my Client Portal as a practice user. And you can see I do have my grain and gain accounting. So that's my practice. And if I had multiple practice, like multiple companies that have already now been linked to the Client Portal, they would all show up here. In this instance, only Samurai Sourdough has actually been linked up, and so that's why it's the only one showing here. There are things that I can control here as well. So we can go and set up our practice. There's branding that we can do. I can upload a logo in here, and when emails get sent from the Client Portal, it's actually going to look like it's your branding. It's not Draftworx's branding. So you're going to have logos on those email requests that you send to your clients. You can set up the default folders. So that is essentially how is my folder structure set up in my Client Portal. You can see we've set up a default one for you already. So client uploads, anything that the client does upload goes there automatically. There's company documents, financials, all of that. But you can change it. If you want to change the folder structure, you can just make it suit essentially and create it the way you want to. The same with the permissions. Here I can say, what can clients do? Can they delete any files? I wouldn't want that. So I'm going to say they can only delete files that they actually upload. They can't create folders. They can't rename. There's a whole lot of ability on my side to tweak what they can do, what they can't do. And the same with auditors and so on. And then lastly, with the auditor's side, we have a special audit folder that we create. And what the audit folder is for is we kind of want to keep a separation between our client and the auditor, right? If requests are coming through, we don't always want all of that to mix. And so there is an audit folder that's just split off from the client folder. So the client can't see what the auditor is asking for and the auditor can't see the client questions. It's just one of the nice things to have that split between the two. And then the other one, notifications. This is simply how are our clients getting notified. So are they getting notified via email every time something happens? Files uploaded or request is made, all of those things. I can also say they get notifications in the portal. And then obviously the Draftworx users can get notifications in Draftworx as well. So that is essentially the option. So I don't have to spam my clients. If I don't want to send them every time a file is uploaded, I can just untick. They're not going to get 1,000 emails from me. You will see at the top here, that's where my notifications sit in the portal app. So if we have a quick look, you can see I have a bunch of to-dos. So to-dos come from if someone makes a request and they make the request in my name, I get these to-dos. And then I have notifications, and that's purely notifications. People have uploaded things, all kinds of things have happened. And so that is essentially the settings that we have over there. Very cool features. And we're going to be digging into it a little bit more as we go along. So what I want to do, though, is, Tafatswa, can you do me a favor? We have one of our entities over here, this Starter Culture, Pty Limited. Could you go and activate the client portal for them? Because currently it's not activated. And just take everyone through that. And yeah, we can quickly show them how that works and go from there.
Perfect. So I'm just going to share my screen. I'm going to replace. There we go. Can everyone see my screen? Perfect. Now, I've opened up our client file, and you'll see in the basics, we did touch on this a little bit. The menu ribbon now has an additional option here for client portal. And this is where we actually go to navigate and activate our client portal. So I click the drop-down menu, click where it says Manage Client Portal, and then it's going to pop up a place for me to enable my client portal. So I tick that button, and immediately it asks me to confirm. And it wants me to confirm the client portal entity name. Here you'll see there's a default. This is the same name as my company name. That's the default. But if I click on the drop-down menu, you'll see that I have other options. I have the Samurai Sourdough option. Now, in what instance and in what real-life scenario would you select a different entity name here? So we already know that Samurai Sourdough is a group. There are multiple companies in this group, Starter Culture being one of them. And we know that the owners of these companies in the group are the same people. Remember, Client Portal is a platform for you to communicate with the auditors and the clients. Now, in our case, our client is the same person that we're going to be communicating with. Instead of having to send them multiple requests to sign up to multiple Client Portal entities, we can actually say, well, we've already invited Mr. Warren and Miss Sally, so therefore we can just link this company to this Client Portal entity because that's where we want them to send all the information. The really good thing about this is now you have a place, one consolidated place where you communicate with your client and where they send over all the information. So because this is a group, I'm actually going to select Samurai Sourdough, same owners, same people, and I'll click my Enable button. Immediately you'll see it's telling me client has been successfully enabled, and then it takes me to this invite screen, and you'll see there's already active users. The reason why I have my active users is because we already invited Mr. Warren, we already invited our auditor as well. So they're already there. But if we needed to add them for the first time, we would simply click the button to invite, specify their name, specify their last name, and then we have to select the role that we want this person to have. They can either be a client or an auditor. Why is this important? Now, as the preparer of the financials, you're almost in between these two people, and you have to keep their secrets. Whatever the auditor tells you, sometimes the client doesn't need to know. And sometimes what the client tells you, the auditor doesn't need to know. So the reason why we have these two roles is because whatever gets uploaded by the client, you as the practice user will have access to it, but the auditor will not. And whatever is uploaded by the auditor, you as the practice user will have access to it, but the client will not have access. So that's why it's important to select the role, to specify their email, send that invitation, and once they accept it, they'll become an active user. Now, how do we actually navigate to our client portal? On this drop-down menu, now that I've enabled and activated, you can see I now have an option that says View Client Portal. I simply click it. It's going to take me to the client portal. It opens up, and you see we're familiar with this. We're looking at it just now. And one thing that I want to bring to your attention, you'll see that here, the client portal entity is saying Samurai and not Starter Culture. Why? Because I linked Starter Culture to Samurai, because remember, it's the same people that I'm communicating with. You'll see here we have a request tab where we can add in requests. We also have the files tab where we have the folders where people can upload documents. There's our audit documents. This is where the documents that have been uploaded by the auditor will be located. There are our client uploads and other additional documents that we have. And essentially, that's how we activate and navigate to our client portal. So I'm just going to take it back to you, Christo, just so that you can activate on the other client and we see whether it's working and doing what you want it to do.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Tefatswa. Cool. Let me quickly grab that screen share. All right. So now what we'll see, I'm just going to quickly refresh. You guys can see Starter Culture has actually been linked to the client portal. It's got that little blue icon and it's highlighted now. So I'm going to quickly do it from the mother dough. So that's another one in the group. So we want to just connect it. I'm going to click on the little icon. I'm going to enable it and enable. And okay, I'm not sure why it's not showing the users, but let's take a quick look. Oh my word. You know what I did? I went and made a mistake, Tav. I have gone and I've created the mother dough on its own. So touching back to the client portal, we've been talking about client portal entities and have mentioned we can combine them, right? So if I go back to entities, you will see we now have mother dough that I created incorrectly because I actually wanted to make it part of the group, but I created it as a standalone, which would be great if it was a completely separate entity. But I actually wanted it to combine into Sourdough. So you'll see if I go to Sourdough, I can see all my requests here and everything. But unfortunately, the mother dough is now no longer part of that. So how am I going to fix that? I want to actually make that my file in Draftworx, my mother dough client in Draftworx, links up to Samurai Sourdough rather than this one. So what am I going to do? So there's actually two ways to fix this. So the first way that we can sort this out is from this client screen. We have a Manage Client Portal Entities option. And what that does is here we have a screen to manage essentially all of our different client portal entities and which Draftworx entities are connected to them. So let me show you. So if I click on the client portal entity of Samurai Sourdough, we can see that 2026 for Samurai Sourdough and 2027 are already linked there. And the Starter Culture that Tefatswa just did is also linked in there. However, because I created mother dough separately and I didn't select the Samurai Sourdough Co. on my side, I ended up not creating it as part of this. So now I need to move it. So the way that I'm going to do it, I'm going to say, okay, there, the mother dough, that is the entity in my client portal. And here we can see, here's the Draftworx client. It's linked up to that entity, right? So all I'm going to do is I'm going to shift it out of this entity. I can tick it and I click the little arrows here. I'm going to move it out. All right. So now the mother dough is empty. You guys can see that. And here we've got a client list. This is our Draftworx client list. And there we can see there's the mother dough and it has no entity connected to it. So it has no client portal entity linked up. So all that I now need to do is, again, select the correct entity at the top, Samurai Sourdough, tick my mother dough over here, and bring it across. All right. And now what I've done is I've taken it out of the other group and I've brought it in as part of essentially my Samurai Sourdough group. And if I save that, it is going to give me a little pop-up confirming it. Are you sure you want to do this? All of those things. I'm going to say yes. And now what has happened is if I go to my mother dough, if I click on this little globe icon, you can see it actually is now showing me the requests that was in the sourdough company. You can see I've gone to the correct one. So the link has now essentially been changed. So it is really nice. As I mentioned, I'm going to just mention it one more time. If you're interested in joining the client portal beta, send us an email, support@draftworx.com, and we would happily activate it for you. We actually have already gotten a few questions on here that features that people want, and I love the ideas. And we're going to take features and things that you guys suggest and bring it into this product, and it's going to be fantastic to build it together with what you guys actually need. So that's the client portal. Fantastic. A few other options that we just want to quickly mention. So on Tuesday, we spoke very briefly just around the practice reports. It is only available for the partners. The items that we have in there is we do have an option to view the client list report. That shows you all of the clients that you've created in Draftworx. And then there's billing history, and that's essentially basically a little statement of account that you can do. If you click on it, just choose your date range, and you can download a PDF or Excel, and just to make sure you've got all of that on your side. So that is only available to partners, but that is something that I just wanted to quickly touch on. And then the other thing to mention, we did mention it very briefly, but if you do want to look at all of these icons on our side in terms of what they mean and so on, I think we touched that very briefly on them on Tuesday, but I'm going to touch on them again. So you'll see we have a little lock icon here that is across the client. That means that client has been locked. All right. And there's a few different types of locks. And there's a lock that we can actually do on our side if you send a file into support. There is a lock that I can do as the partner where I can lock a client. I can also lock it as read only. And all of those would give me a little lock symbol. You'll see if you hover over it, it gives you a pop-up and you can kind of see what it says. So essentially that lock means that this file is locked. No one can even open it. All right. Then the other icon you'll see here, we've got this little one. It's got a small I in. What that means is I've sent in a support request for this entity. So I actually sent in a support request using our contact support, and this file is sitting with the Draftworx support team. So now I kind of have essentially an idea that, okay, the support team's still looking at it. Once the support team on our side closes the ticket, they'll email you, and then this icon will disappear. Then obviously we've got the globe one. We've been talking about that. That's the client portal. It won't be on everyone's screen at the moment. If you do want it, let us know. And then we've got this little image here, and it's a little man, a little blue person, right? And what that little blue person tells me that other people have access to these files. So as you can see, there are other people that have access to, well, sourdough starter, right? If I click on the little icon, there you go. I can see everyone that has access to it. Fantastic. If it doesn't have an icon, what that means is it means that I'm the only one that has access to this file. So nobody else in the company actually has access, in the practice has access to this file. So it's just a visual indicator. And again, you can control it from there as well, right? I can take away access or add access as I'd want. All right. And then to touch base quickly on the little drop down, I know Taf also mentioned it, but we can copy clients. Very useful if you have a group like we're doing, right? And you do a bunch of customization and you need that customization for every entity in the group. Do it once and copy the client. Go and change the client setup, bring the TB in, and you don't have to redo all the work that you've done on the financials if you've done a whole lot of customization. Very powerful tool, that copy client. Archive delete, we mentioned in the basics that just deletes and archives the files. Rename client, we can rename it. The important thing to remember here, that rename client, it extends to the naming that you have on the client list. It doesn't actually change the name in the client setup. All right. And then we've got the locks that I mentioned. Manage user access, again, I can decide who has got access to this. So if I want to give Taff access to my mother dough, we can actually do that, and you'll see, hey, that little icon popped up now, because now there's more than one person that has access to that file. And then lastly, we can also, again, manage the client portal details from here. So I can disable the client portal or manage it and invite additional people and all those kind of things. All right. So that's essentially the basics there. I do want to touch base again. If we go, and I'm going to use our Samurai Sourdough company for this. If we hop into the client setup, I mentioned earlier we can change the entities that our client portal belongs to, right? Like this, where this client file belongs to. You will see that once we have activated client portal, we then actually have this additional setting that now appears in the client setup. And I can also change the details here if I want. So I can move this actually to the mother client portal entity. So I can toggle it over here if I need to as well. Then one thing to mention, and we know it does come up quite often, with Draftworx, specifically for Draftworx Cloud, you will see if you have an older file, if you've created a file from a while back, what we do is we do lock the entity name after a time period that it can't be edited anymore, as well as our year-end date. So at the moment, because this file was created on Tuesday, not a problem. I can still modify and edit it. After a time period, it's going to be locked down, and I'm not going to be able to edit that anymore. So why is that? It's one of the things that we do get questions for quite often. So unfortunately, with Draftworx, we initially had everything free. You can edit as much as you want and all of that. And what we did find on Draftworx Cloud was that some clients were taking advantage of that fact. And because Draftworx Cloud is per client billing, that is how we essentially fund Draftworx Cloud, right? As you create multiple clients, you pay a little bit more for those clients. Now, we had clients that essentially went and they would change the entity name every time for every set of financials that they do. And unfortunately, that is not really fair. And we were quite disappointed. But what we had to do then is bring that lockdown into place to stop that from happening. And so that is why you will see that at times we're going to grade these out. They're not going to be editable. It's just one of those things, unfortunately, that we have to do on our side. If you're ever doing management accounts, remember the year-end date doesn't change. You go and tick this management account box and you can modify the override date. So be aware of that. Again, if you are doing financials going forward, if you're doing management accounts for 1 month in, this can be locked. You're never going to change this. You just want to change the override date for every month on the management accounts. But yeah, that's something that we did have to quickly mention. And yeah, let's jump into the things that are a little bit more fun. So we're going to jump into our financial data and onto the working trial balance. And here we are going to import some data on our side. Now, Taff, I have fantastic news, but also a little bit of sucky news. But the trial balance that you imported the other day, unfortunately, Mr. Baguette let me know that he actually has a Sage account that we can actually just connect to. And so we can go and import the data directly from there. We no longer have to import via Excel. And it makes life easier because any change that happens on the accounting package side, we can just immediately bring through by importing again. So it's a really cool tool. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that. So I want to re-import everything. So we've done a bunch of work, right? We've got 3 years of data, but it's fine. Let's go through the process of importing. And I'm actually going to start at the back. So we're going to start at 2024. And what we're going to do is we're going to link this with our Sage client. So I'm going to go to Sage. I do have to put in my username and password for Sage so that we are able to connect to Sage. Just give me 1 second. Getting that password across my side. And I'm going to log in. So now it connects to Sage, and I'm going to be then presented with a list of all the entities that I have on my side in Sage. So I've got a whole bunch of entities. Obviously, I need to choose which one we're connecting to, right? And I have a little training file here, so I'm going to use that one. Now, one thing to mention, I'm going to use Sage today. That's just for demonstration purposes. We do have 0 QuickBooks connections as well. Both of them work very much in a similar way. We select the entity after we've logged into that system, and then we're going to be presented with this screen. And this screen gives us a couple of options. We've got import monthly balances, and that is if I want to import my monthly data. The only time I'm really going to do that is if I'm doing monthly management accounts. So I'm showing each month separately. Then I'm going to import monthly, because otherwise we don't really need it, right? If I have a bunch of data and I'm doing year-end financials, I don't really care what's happening month to month. I want the year-end figures, and that's all I care about. So in this case, I'm not going to tick that. We do have 2 buttons pre-ticked from our side as Draftworx. So there's a remove empty accounts, as well as an automatically link accounts on import. And what those do is remove empty accounts. With my Sage or in any of the accounting packages, very often they give you a full list of any type of account that you require, that you might require, right? Whether you're using it or not. Now, what we do as Draftworx is we clean that out for you before it imports into Draftworx, so you don't have a messy account. I'm going to untick it, and I actually want to show you how that looks before we actually import it. So we're going to do that, and the same with the automatically link. So the automatic linking, Tefatswa did show that a little bit on Tuesday, but the system goes and it automatically links everything for you. I'm going to untick that as well. You will see there's an opening balance check, and I'll be covering that in a little bit, and I'll show you how that works. So we're going to leave that for now as well. And then the only other things we need to worry about here is the from and the to date. It is going to populate automatically for me according to the dates that have been set up in the client setup, right? So if your dates are incorrect here, be aware, jump back to your client setup, go and fix the client setup dates, and then try re-import from your accounting package. In my case, everything's fine. So I'm going to import, and we're going to bring that data in. Now, as I said remove empty accounts, right? So I've unticked that. So we're bringing in actually a very big, unnecessarily big trial balance into Draftworx. And you can see it actually looks quite rough, right? We have 93 entries, okay, and that's still small compared to some entities, but there's a whole bunch of things that it has now brought in. You can see, I mean, there's a members loan, and that's sitting in the Sage. It's got 0 balances, but because I unticked that one, that is why it's now showing, all right? So that it gets very messy if we actually untick the things that Draftworx pre-ticks for you. So let's take it a step further. So we're going to leave this as is. We've brought in the figures, at least 2025 figures are here. So let's go to, or 2024. We're going to go to 2025. We're going to bring in the figures over here as well. Same process. I'm going to import again. This time, however, I am going to tick the remove empty, and I'm going to tick the automatic link. I'm going to leave the opening balance check now. And again, I'll touch on that in a little bit, but I'm going to tick those 2, and let's see the difference this time, right? So we're going to import, and what Draftworx has done now is it has actually gone through, and now it's done all of the linking. All right, but you'll look at this and you'll say, but Chris, why is members loan still here? You know, it was 0. The reason there is because we imported into 2024. Once it's imported into Draftworx, we aren't going to just delete it just because I'm bringing in the Sage numbers again. But we do have a very nice little delete tool that helps with that. And I'll show you. It's an option here that says delete, and it says remove empty accounts. And what the remove empty accounts does is it looks at your file, right? And it says, are there amounts at all in, well, let's go back again to our, members loan account. Are there amounts in any of the years? There wouldn't be. And so it's actually going to clean that up for me. So I'll do that, and it cleans up, and my whole trial balance is down from 90 something to 46 entries. So now it's clean up, and it's only showing me where there's data. Why didn't it delete the prior stuff? There's a whole bunch of zeros here. Well, I'm still only in 2025. In 2026, these accounts do have amounts in. All right, so let's fix that up as well. Once more, we're going to import and bring all of that data in. And we now have all of the info. And again, now you can see the accounts that we had imported on Tuesday are all 0. Let's clean them up. Remove empty accounts. And boom, there you go. Everything is clean. Well, almost everything. You will see there's still one account over here. And again, why didn't Draftworx delete it? Well, it has an amount in. It has a 2000 adjustment to it. And that is just simply because what has happened is I wrote a journal, or TAF wrote a journal to this account earlier. And so essentially it has now been kept on our side. So that's again an easy fix. Let's hop into the journals on our side. And we're going to go and find, there was that journal that effortlessly created for us. And all I'm going to do is, there's that 3,450. I'm going to just change it. Let's search here. Depreciation. And we're going to just change it to the other depreciation account, right? Save. And as easy as that, essentially it moves it across to the correct Sage account that's been linked up. And again, I can get rid of that account if I want with them remove empty somewhere. So that's a few things just about the importing directly from the accounting packages. So that's really nice. The import from accounting packages is quite fun and useful. However, there's reasons that we do this. There are things that they allow us to do that are really amazing, and they actually bring so much assistance to people completing a set of financials, right? So I need to complete the set of files. TAF has gone and done a lot of work. I'm reviewing it now. Let's take a look. Now, one of the things that I do always as a reviewer is I go through and I'm actually going to import again, but this time I'm going to say, do an opening balance check for me. All right. So now if we do an opening balance check, what's Draftworx going to do? Let's see. If I import again, the numbers aren't really going to change. They're the same. It's still the import directly from the accounting package. But what Draftworx does now, it does a test. And the test that it does is it tests what was my prior year accounting balance, like year-end balances, right? So you can see there's my accounting package, year-end balances for last year. And then it goes and grabs the Draftworx balances. And it has picked up that there's a difference, right? Here you can see there is a difference over year in my income tax and my tax payable. So I'm like, oh, greatness. Okay, why is this? I can go back and figure it out. Now, luckily, I remember, Taf, you created a journal for us, right, to do with tax on your side. Fantastic. So we know why that was created, which makes life easy, right? If we don't know why it was created, there's a little export to Excel. You can start digging and playing around as well, trying to figure things out. In this case, we're lucky, right? We know what's going on. Now, there's two ways to fix this. The one way is the cowboy way, and the second way is the correct way to do it. So I'm going to show you the cowboy way because I like the cowboy way, but it is a cowboy way, and don't do it always, okay? Because the second way is better. But the cowboy way of doing this is going and saying, create suggested journal. And what this does is it goes and it's going to go create a journal for you in Draftworx, right? So we're going to say it gives us a big warning because we're telling you, hey, you're doing the cowboy way. We did put it in better wording than that, but essentially that's what it says. And I'm going to go create the journal. So now it's gone and created a journal for me in Draftworx, right? And it's created this journal for me. And I just want to take a look here. This is something that we are busy sorting out. But what it's done is it goes and creates a journal for me for that income tax payable, right? For the balance sheet items, it goes and corrects the balance sheet. But secondly, what it does is the income statement items, it sums them up and then it writes that account to our retained earnings, right? So that is how we're balancing. But I mentioned this is the cowboy way, and the reason for that is this journal has been done in 2026. So we haven't gone and corrected our accounting package, guys. It is technically only be used like emergency situations. If you've got a very tight deadline and you're like, I'm not sure what's going on, let's get this balanced, let's get it sorted and kind of go, then you can do that. But like, be aware, Draftworx does two things. You have to make sure you go and change it to also say you want it to happen. You want to actually make it a normal adjusting or drafting journal. We leave it as not recorded on our side because, well, when we create it, we're like, this is cowboy. We're going to put it as not recorded. You can choose, give it to your partner, tell them, listen, I did this. Is it the right way to do it? They're probably going to tell you no, but it is there and it's available. So that's the one way to do it. Now I'm going to actually delete this because we're not cowboys over here. And Mr. Baguette will be very angry if we give him a set of financials that have been done in the cowboy way. So I'm going to delete that entry, right? So now we would have that retained earnings problem still. Okay. And because we haven't changed anything. So we would still have that retained earnings problem. The correct way to do it would be to actually go in, say, what were the prior journals that was done when we did financial statements, take those journals and put them in your accounting package, right? Because that would go and adjust the retained earnings to match up with what it should be for the current year, right? It's going to go and do that. And so what we built as Draftworx is we have built a direct export for you. And what you can do is you can go take this journal. So we raised this journal, earlier. And I'm going to go and say, let's take this journal, let's export it back into our accounting package, right? It's going to know that we're connected to our accounting package. It's going to say, cool, I have selected one journal. Do I want to do it or not? Yes, I do. So we're going to export it. And it's going to go and post that journal in the accounting package. All right. So a few things to note with Sage, it actually goes and posts the journal. One and done, everything's sorted. Xero and QuickBooks, that journal will go and sit in a confirmation where it just needs to be accepted and verified, and then it goes through. So be aware of that. And then two, what we also need to remember here is this has posted successfully. Fantastic. I'm happy with that. But some things to consider is, well, I posted this successfully, which is fine. But what if I wanted to write a journal to a bank account or to my trade payables? The accounting systems don't allow you to do that. Remember, we can't just write a journal to bank in the accounting systems. Not one of them will allow it. And so when you post from Draftworx, if you're doing those journals, it's going to stop you as well. And then you'll get a warning on Draftworx side. It will say this journal can't be used instead of a little tick mark that says it's been posted. So be aware of that. But now what we're going to do, so now we've posted a journal to our accounting package. Fantastic. Let's say another figure changes for some reason or something like that. I need to import again. Let's import. What do we have now? We've gotten a new tick over here. And our new tick says remove posted journals. Why do we have that? Think about this. If we don't remove this posted journal, it has now been posted to the accounting package. It has been processed there. The numbers have changed on that accounting package. So if you keep the journal in Draftworx, you are doubling your journal, right? So we're going to remove it. So we're going to say remove posted journal, import. And we also, because I'm doing a prior year journal, right? I'm doing 2025. I need to import 2026 again as well. And we're going to do that. Let's import it and we can take a look and see if we still have any opening errors for our retained earnings. We'll see now. And we don't. How nice is that, right? Here you can see opening balance check has passed without differences. And so now we are set to actually go forward and sort out the financials as we should. So that's a really cool tool that we've built into Draftworx. I think it really does save time. Please use it. There's a couple of guys I've seen, they just ignore it. And I'm like, but why? It's there. We've built it to make your life easy. So please go and take a look at it, and it should really, really help. And that's what the power that we get as well with these direct imports. If you're doing it from Excel, unfortunately, we can't do an opening balance test for you automatically the same way we've done now. But direct imports, you can do those opening balance tests. You can push those journals back to the accounting system. Some really fantastic features that have been built in on your side. And then another thing that's really cool that we built that comes in directly from the direct imports only is you'll see if I go and I look at essentially my figures here, the numbers, right? You can see they actually now have this blue highlighting over them. And what that means is it means that they've been connected specifically with Sage, right? In this case, or your accounting package of what you're using. And what I can do is, if I want to go investigate a number, I can go hover over that number, hold the control button in on my keyboard, and just click on that number then, right? While you're holding it in. And it comes through. And what does it do? Well, it goes and grabs the GL from my accounting package. So I don't have to go and compare GLs on my accounting package and Draftworx and making sure the numbers are the same. It's going to compare them directly here. And you can see there's a bunch of sales accounts that, sales that have come through. And there was a big webinar adjustment, fantastic. And all of the figures are there. So it's very useful. We can now see what's actually going on in the GLs on our side, straight from Draftworx. And one of the other things to note there is if someone has gone and edited something, because obviously in Draftworx, I can go and edit, let's say, employee expenses, right? Boom. Okay, I went and edited myself. If I go and run that now, it's going to tell me, well, listen, there's a difference. There's a difference between what Draftworx is seeing and what your ledger looks like. And it's another useful tool just to make sure that you can see what's actually going on in the figures of your client. You can see how the TBs look and what they've actually gone and done. And so it's super useful. Yes, Tef, what's happening?
I have a little question. So I'm working on another file. Currently, I imported my trial balance via Excel, but when I hover over my opening balance amounts, it's not blue like yours. Why is mine not blue like yours?
So the reason we don't have it in blue when you're importing from Excel is, again, we don't have that connection, right? So because you imported from Excel, we don't have that connection to go and pick up what the GL is. So it only works with direct imports. That's why we always tell clients, go use those direct imports. Super useful. It adds a lot of things that just assists you in doing your financials on your side.
Thank you. That makes sense.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Taff. All right, let's take a look at a couple of other icons that we have at the top here. So just to touch on a few of them. Now, we did go through most of them on Tuesday. If you don't know, you can always circle back to that. But what we have at the top here, we've got a whole bunch of options. Resync prior. One to mention there is if you're doing multiple years at once. So if I'm doing, let's say we were doing 2025 and 2026 set of financial statements. In Draftworx, if I make an adjustment in the 2025, I can say resync prior, and then my 2025 on this file will actually also adjust with the adjustments that have been made there. So it essentially syncs across from the other file on your side. So quite useful if you're doing a bunch of financials at once. I've spoken about the importing. We've spoken about the smart linking and the basics. And then I just want to touch on the consoles. So we're going to go through, I'll do a consolidation for us at the end just to show you, but it's actually really simple. With the consolidations in Draftworx, if you go here, you can literally just go consoles and select the entities that you want to combine. And as soon as you do that, it essentially goes and brings in a combined trial balance in for you. So it's super simple. I will show that you guys we'll go and consolidate one of the entities at the end of this, just to show you guys. And we'll touch about the journals and so on as well. Now, what we also have here is on our side, I just want to quickly check something there. On our side, we also go and, oh, there you go. So we have these two disclosure updates and add links. So those are two buttons that we've built in that actually are on the templates as well. So on the template side, these buttons are essentially there to go and add additional disclosures and add additional links, and we'll cover that when we go through the financials. Well, then what I wanted to show you guys is that we have the ability to actually go do foreign currency in this set of financials. All right. So let's take a quick look. And Taf, I just want to be sure, can you see the foreign currency on your side, the buttons that I have here?
Yes, I do. I do.
Fantastic. Cool. So what we have gotten, Mr. Baguette told me that, he needs to report in two currencies. So yes, one, we're going to be reporting in rands today, but he also needs to report in the sourdough crunchy dollar. All right. So how do we do that? How do we report in the sourdough crunchy dollar? Well, Draftworx has got you sorted no matter what your currency is. All you have to do is click on Setup Foreign Currency. And once I've got that, you'll see I've got a little foreign currency setup option. And here I'm going to say, okay, what's the foreign currency description? Well, sourdough, crunchy, dollar. And we're going to put in the descriptions on it as well. And that's the wording that the system will now use on our side when we produce these financials in a different way. Now let's go change up some amounts, right? We've got spot rates and average rates here, and we've got it for every year that you have brought into Draftworx in terms of on the TB. Why do we have two rates? Well, spot rate is for our balance sheet accounts, right? And average is for our income statement accounts, right? So as we type that in, we are going to convert those on the Draftworx side. So I'm just going to quickly type these in. Let's type in some figures. I don't want to take too long with this. And then we can get into how it works. Right, so I've brought in spot rate, average rate for all three of my years. So we've got the numbers in. Fantastic. Let's save that. That is now saved. Foreign currency settings saved successfully. Fantastic. Cool. I'm going to click on toggle foreign currency. Nothing has changed yet. You can see my amounts are still my stock standard amounts. And we're going to go say, cool, toggle. And what Draftworx does is it now has gone and changed. And here you can see it has gone and it's created a new column for both my years. It's gone and said 2026 FCT final and a 2025 FCT final. And what that does is I'm going to use amount. Let's take this. It's just a nice, easy round number. We've got a 10,000, and that's the normal rand amount that we originally imported. But the final amount is now 7,500, right? And for prior year, it's 6,500. Why? Because if we look at our rates, we can see that the spot rate, why is the spot rate used? Because this is a balance sheet account. The 75,000 or 7,500 is because, well, we're timesing it by 0.75, right? And then the prior 0.65. So that's essentially how this works. And what's nice with this is if I go and pop open my financials, Draftworx has actually gone and done, and it's gone through and converted all of the figures for me and all of the amounts for me. And we'll see once we pop it open. Let's jump across and we can go take a look. And okay, our amounts will differ a little bit. Let's see, you can see the profit for the year is different to our total actual profit and loss. And that's actually because we've now done the conversion. You'll see at the top here, it says figures in, SC dollar as well. So the wording has updated everywhere. The currency is now in the different currency, all of those things, and it's been done. There you can see on inventories, there's that 7,500 and 6,500 that we've brought in and adjusted for you. So that's really nice and useful that Draftworx has gone and converted everything. That is lovely. However, for now, I'm going to switch back to rand. In fact, before I switch back to rand, one thing to mention and to add here is when we toggled that foreign currency, Draftworx created one account for us. And it created an FCT foreign currency translation account. All right. Why did it do that? Well, because when we convert, if we convert our balance sheet items at one rate and our income statement items at a different rate, what happens? Our balance sheet would fall out of balance. We get a difference, but that difference should go to your foreign currency translation reserve. And that's why Draftworx automatically handles that foreign currency translation reserve for you. So super useful, and it just speeds up time on your side. You don't have to go and do those calculations manually. All right, I'm going to switch back. I just toggle it off. Now we're back to rands. Everything's good. We don't have to worry much more. Okay, let's go back into the financials. We're going to somewhat refresh so that we can get rid of the sourdough crunchy dollar, and we can work back on rands. And let's go and take a look at our financials a little bit. Now, I actually want to start here. And we're going to see on the status sheet. So the status sheet is one of the most useful items when you're reviewing your financials. While you're doing them as well, obviously, but once you're reviewing, it gives you such a nice overview of any issues or anything that might be weird on the file. So for example, I can see, oh, you know what, there's some issues with my changes in other equities, with my financial position. There's all kinds of things. Okay, so now I'm like, okay, things need to happen. And we're going to go, I'm going to start statement of changes in equity. Why is there 50? That's interesting. So let's jump to the statement of changes in equity. And I'm going to look through here and I'm like, okay, there's other changes not yet reconciled. Okay. I don't have time now to sort this out, right? I've got a meeting soon. So Taff, I'm going to actually leave this one for you. All right. So please, can you just take a look at this? I'm not 100% sure what's going on here, but I'm going to leave you a note, right? So how do I do that? I don't want to just hope that you remember this conversation. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go and say, add note. And what does that little button do? Well, it pops up a little screen where I can go and create a note, a notification for someone. It's a review note. And I can say, please check, whoops, who needs spaces, right? I do. Please check the statement of changes in equity. And I'm going to assign it to somebody. Hey, look at that. I can assign it to Taff. I can just change the status. Okay, open, addressed, or closed. I'm going to leave it open because it hasn't been changed. And I'm going to just say Y50. I'm in quite a rush, right? So I'm just going to say Y50. Save. And what happens is you can see it's actually made a nice little thing here that we can see that pops up when I click on that cell. So I can essentially, when Taff comes on, she can be like, oh, okay, that's where I need to fix something, right? The other thing that we need to do, Taff, and that I have essentially seen on my side is, well, Mr. Baguette has asked us to go and build a custom note for him. So I built one last night for him. I was working late into the night, but I would like you to add another custom note for us, right? And I'm just going to just give you another note here. Please add. And I have emailed you, so you've got that on your side. You're welcome to just check out what we need to do there. But I'm quickly going to add that for you as well. So there you go. So I've left some notes for you. Now, I've got a meeting to get to. As far as I know, I'm getting some special bread. So I'm going to give this one to you. And hopefully, I'm back in a short bit, a little bit fuller of delicious bread. And yeah, it's off to you, Taff.
Perfect. So I'm going to take over. I'm going to share my screen. And then I should be able to reconcile some of those issues that we were having. Can everybody see my screen?
It looks good to me.
Perfect. So whilst Christo's busy with his meeting, I'm just going to start reconciling some of the issues that he mentioned and he asked me to look at. And the first one is our statement of changes in equity. We have this 50. So when I open up my statement of changes in equity, here it is. I'm just going to go. I want to turn on my headings as well. And you'll see that when I scroll to the bottom of the sheet, the same 50 that Krista was looking at is here, and that's where his note is. But also when I'm scrolling, I can see that the headings are not moving with me, and I actually want them to stay fixed. So how can I actually freeze the panes so that I know exactly which column I'm working on? All I can do is I can actually say, I'm going to select here. There we go. I'm going to go to my developer. I'm going to freeze my panes. And then as I'm going, let's bring this to the, okay. Let me just unfreeze them and start again. Okay, I'm going to freeze. Now I'm happy. When I'm scrolling, you can see my panes are fixed. I can see exactly which column I'm going to be working on as I'm scrolling to the bottom of my sheet. Now, we have this 50. And remember, we've spoken about the statement of changes in equity, and we mentioned that the figures in this sheet are all formula driven based off of the linking that we have, but also the statement of changes in equity is a big reconciliation. So we actually need to be able to say, what were the movements in this equity? And I can see last year I had 150 issued capital, but now I have 200. So I actually went and I asked Mr. Warren and Miss Sally, what actually happened for you to move from 150 rands issued capital to 200? And they said to me, oh, we actually issued share capital to Miss Sally and it was 50 rand. So then I can say, oh, there's my line for issue of equity. I'm going to put in that amount to reconcile my equity. And when I scroll back to the bottom, you see that my other change not yet reconciled has disappeared. I'm happy. I've now reconciled my equity, and the system is saying, oh, okay, I see, this is what you had at the beginning, and then there was an issue, this is what you had at the closing, therefore it all makes sense. Now, the second thing that Crystal asked me to look at is the custom note that Mr. Warren has asked us to do for him. So I can just navigate to my notes sheet, and when I go to the bottom of my notes sheet, that's actually where he's put in the note to say, please add in that note. Now, how can I start? Where do I start? Where do I begin when I'm doing a custom note? You have to have a heading, first and foremost. So what I'm going to do, I am going to bring in my heading. He's asked for us to do a repairs and maintenance breakdown. So you'll see currently the formula bar is locked. I cannot type anything in here. I cannot. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to design and I am going to unlock formulas. And the reason why I can do this is because I am a manager. Remember, it's the managers and the partners that can unlock the formulas. If you're a clerk user, you won't be able to do that. So now I'm going to click here and type in our heading. So I'm just going to paste in that heading. And then I want to merge across the cells. So all of these cells that we are working on, I want to merge across. So I'm going to select them, format, and I'm going to say merge across. I also want to show all of these rows that we're actually working on. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go to design. I'm going to say show row. And now these are all printed. They don't have that light blue shading that we normally see when the rows are not printing. So I have my heading. I'm happy with that. But now I want to create a grouping, because remember, a grouping is the section for the information that we are bringing in. So I'm going to select all the cells below where my heading is that need to be part of my note, which are these. And under design, I'm going to say group note. Immediately, you're going to see there's a grouping and a section that becomes created here. And that is how I create a grouping. Now, normally we know that our notes will have a subnote in them. So how do we create a subnote? I'm going to do the same process. I first have to have a heading for my subnote. So I'm going to put that in. And then I'm going to again select the cells below my heading that need to be part of my subnote. And again, I say group note. You'll see that grouping has been created, that subnote grouping within my larger grouping. Now, How do I bring in automated numbering? Because this note is supposed to have a number that whenever we move, it updates across. So all I have to do is click this little hash, and that automated numbering comes through. And I'll do the same for my subnote. And then that's going to come through. You'll see my information is kind of being cut off here. All I can go do is I can wrap my text, and then I am good to go. So now I have my heading, subnote heading, and I can go about now putting in the information in my note. So here I'm going to have this a repairs and maintenance breakdown, repairs and maintenance of this one is going to be the first one. So I'm going to type in that description. And then I want to bring in the information from the trial balance, because we know we've got repairs and maintenance in our trial balance, and I don't want to type in those figures. So, and then every single time that they change, I have to come and remember on this note to update. No, we actually can bring in information from our TB. Now, how do we do that? You click the cell where you want to bring in your information. Here in my case, column L is where I want to bring it in here, and under design, you'll see we have trial balance values. This allows me to bring in my TB amounts based off of the trial balance entry. And I can bring in opening balance amounts or adjustments or final. Now, if I say I want to bring in opening balance amounts, it means it's going to bring in for whatever account I select, it's going to bring in the figures in the opening balance column. If I choose adjustments, it's bringing in figures from the adjustments column. If I bring in final, it's bringing in figures from the final column, the final current year figures. Prior is the final prior figures. So I want to bring in current year final. So I click here, and then I can actually see I have a pop-up screen with all my accounts in my TB. I can actually go and search for what I'm looking for. There we go. I can even drag this to see fully what I'm selecting here. On the screen, you can multi-select. So if you want to bring in multiple accounts, you can select multiple of them. In my case, because this is a breakdown, I'm selecting one of the accounts. I click select, and it brings in that amount. You'll see there's a formula that has populated. It's currently telling me I want to sum. This formula, it's summing. If it's an account, the one that's been specified, the one that's in our inverted commas, and it's bringing in final figures. So that means if I go to my working trial balance right now, and I search the repairs and maintenance office 1 account, and I look in the final column, the figure that I have in the cell is the figure that I'm actually going to see. Now that it's brought that in, you can actually copy this formula, and then you can put it here, and you can amend it as you need. So now I wanted to bring in office 2. So I can actually just remove that 1, put a 2, click enter, and you'll see now it is bringing in office 2 figures. We can also bring in figures from our TB based off of the link numbers that we used. So again, final means we're going to bring in items based off of the link number, and it's the final current year figures. Prior is the final prior year figures. So here, if I select link numbers final, I click here, I can search again for what I'm looking for. So here, I'm looking for this particular link number, the maintenance general. I click select, and it brings in everything that is linked to this particular link number that is in the final column. So whatever figure I have here, the formula is saying we are summing. If it's a TB link, the one that's been specified in my inverted commas, and it's bringing in the final figure. So if I search for this link number and I look in the final column, what I have in this cell is what I'm going to see in my trial balance. Again, you can copy this formula and amend it as you need. So I can actually then say, well, I want to bring in everything that is linked to E.452011 instead of 005. I click enter. You'll see now it is bringing in everything that is linked to that. Now that I've brought in what I want to sum my information here. How do I do that? I don't have to say equals sum, type in that formula. I can easily go to format, click the auto sum button, and then that is summed up for me. Nice, simple, and easy. I can even on my format tab put in a total line. I can click here, say there's my total line, and then I am good to go. Another thing that I can do here, I can select what I have done here and I can copy, and then I can also say paste. and it will paste the formulas and all the work that I've done here. So you don't have to go about doing this work multiple times. If you've set up your formulas for your current year, and now you just want to make this your prior year, you just copy paste your formulas. You navigate to your developer tab. With this selection, you click prior under developer, and you see these formulas are going to update. Instead of saying final and referencing final figures, they are now saying prior one and referencing prior year. Now, because we're building a custom note, we also want to make sure that whatever we are bringing in here ties back and agrees to what we have in our TB. So we want to build a test for that. How do we do that? I can actually go here and I can type in amount as per TB. As per TB. And when I type that in, I can actually bring in the total of my repairs and maintenance from the TB. And the easiest way that I can do that is I can actually copy the formula that I have here. I will copy it, and then I will paste it here, and I will further edit it. So you'll see currently this formula is saying bring in everything that is a TB link, the specified link number, which is E.452.011. Now, I just want everything that is linked to E.452. It doesn't matter what the number is, because 452 is my repairs and maintenance. So what am I going to do? Instead of having a definitive figure, I want a range. So I'm going to replace those numbers with question marks. I click enter, and it's bringing in everything. If I right click and drill down, you'll see it's bringing in everything that is linked to E.452. It doesn't matter what the number is after that, and it brings it in. So you can further edit these formulas to match what it is that you actually want to be brought in. Instead of having a formula that is long that says plus, 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 you can have one cute little consolidated formula. Now, I want to have a difference line. To complete my note, I'm going to type in difference. And then here, I actually want to say equals whatever it is that I've been building minus what I have in my trial balance to make sure it's all reconciling. And then I have a 0. I can also copy whatever it is that I've done here, copy, and then I'm going to paste it again. Same concept with what we did at the top. I'm going to actually say prior, and then there we go. You'll see these numbers don't have the Draftworx formatting. How do I give them the Draftworx formatting and make it look like all the other numbers in my set? I can select, and then I can go here to format, and then click Draftworx, and you'll see now I have the formatting that I require. Additionally, if I want my headers here, my headings, to have the same formatting as the other headings that I have in my financials, I find the one that I want to copy from, click format, there we go, and I have copied over that formatting. And essentially that's how we get to do our custom note. Now, we've done our custom note, but Mr. Warren has actually said that on the accounting policies in PPE, he wants to refer to this note. He wants to refer to it. So now, how do we do that? To do that, we have to create a named range. How do we do that? I click where my header is. If I go to any other existing note, like my cash and cash equivalents, you'll see that on this header, there is a note num cash and cash equivalents. This is a named range for the cash and cash equivalents note. So the easiest way for me to go about creating a new named range, I'm actually just going to double click this and I'm going to copy it. And then I can just click another cell and I'm good to go. And then here where I want to create my name range, I click the cell, go to design, create named range. And here I'm going to put this, but remove the cash and cash equivalents. I want this to be repairs and maintenance breakdown, because remember, this is my repairs and maintenance breakdown note. So I'll put that through here. And then you'll see it saying this defined name that we're creating, this named range, refers to this cell, and I'm happy with that. So then I will say, okay, I'm happy with it. We've created our named range. Now, I want to navigate to my accounting policies. I know that just below the PPE is where he asked me, he actually said, right here, he wants it to say refer to that particular note. So now what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to write in a custom note. I'm actually going to say equals And then I will say inverted commas whenever we have text. We want to say inverted commas, refer to note, refer to note. And then I'll have a space and another inverted comma. And then I'm going to put an and then I'll put that name range that we created. The note number repairs and maintenance breakdown. I'm going to bring in that name range, put that through, click enter, and you'll say it says refer to note 10. The moment that that note number changes, if we move that note around, this will also automatically update to be the relevant note number. And that's the nice way of having your stuff referenced and not having to worry about updating it. Now, we know that Crystal raised some notes for me to address. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to just let him know that I've addressed it, but he's still in his meeting and I can actually do that on our file. So once I close, I can navigate to my electronic review. So I go to client setup, electronic review. I don't want to worry Crystal too much. So here I'm actually going to see, you'll see our electronic review gives us a snapshot of what is happening in our client file. You'll see all the multiple sections have got progress tabs. It tells you how much progress you've made on each particular section. So if ever you're wondering, how far in are we into our engagement? How many items have we marked as prepared? When do we think we're going to finish? The electronic review is a very good place to navigate to see how much work you've actually done on your file. So you'll also see on the electronic review that whenever there is something that is amiss, you will have notification here. So when someone marks off something as prepared or reviewed, it will show ticks here. And currently our financials are saying that they have an exception. Now let's just open up this up quickly and see what it means. So it says there's 2 notes. I'm going to open it up and I can see immediately those 2 notes that Crystal raised are actually here, which makes it so much easier for me to actually show that I've addressed them, because this is a consolidated place where I can actually deal with them. So here I can see there's the one we can type in comments. So if there's a comment, maybe I'm waiting for the client to give me supporting documentation as to why there's a 50 Rand, I can type that in. But I can actually go here under open because I've already addressed this. Sally and Mr. Warren have told me. I can actually tick this and say this has been addressed. So without us having to talk or get on the phone or by email, he can actually open the electronic review on his side when he's back from his meeting, and he can actually see that, oh, Taf actually addressed these issues, and then he can review and go forward. So I'll mark both of them as addressed, and then it should be good to go. I think Christo is back from his meeting. I just saw him walking across. So he should be able to now look at what I've been working on.
Taf, I am still in my meeting. So let's actually take a quick 10-minute break. I'm almost done. And once we're back, then we can show the people the rest of the system. Thanks, everyone, for the quick break. I quickly grabbed a nice sourdough. I hope everyone else had a chance to munch as well. Let's jump right into it, right? So, Taf, thank you so much for doing those files for me. The meeting did go a touch longer than expected, but let's jump into it and quickly get things going again. So let's take a few things on our side. So I'm going to pop open the financials and I'm going to go and see what Taf has done on her side. Now, there's a nice easy tool that we can use to kind of hop around and check anything that has been done our side. So let's quickly take a look. So one of the things we can check is I can go and I can actually say show notes. So earlier I said add note, right? So that's when we wanted to actually send a message to Taf. And what I can do now is I can say show notes. And what it does, it gives me a little pop-up that just shows me all of the notes that have been made, all of the review notes that have been made against this file. So specifically for the financials, right? So remember, Taf also showed us the electronic review. And that's where I get an overview of everything. So if I'm doing a whole bunch of working papers, all of that, I can also go and mark and test things there. If I'm checking only a single file, I can use the show notes here. All right. And what I can do is I can actually use this little blue box and it jumps me around, right? If I click on that, it's going to take me to where that note is. And hey, I can see it's been addressed that 50 is gone. Let's change that. I'm going to say it's closed. She did tell me there was an issue of equity. Everything is fine, right? So we did that quickly. Now I can go and I can again click on show notes. But one of the other nice little things we have is under review at the top here. I can see that what we have is there's a couple of things that we have now, right? I can set this document as prepared, right? So we can say it has been prepared, and that also shows up on our electronic review, and it's been prepared by whoever and so on. So we can kind of go and do that. But that would generally be, obviously, once I'm done with the financials. So I'm not going to say it's been reviewed by the partner just yet. I'm still busy looking at things. But what I can also do is there's these cool little jumps where I can just say, jump to my next note. And what it does, it jumps straight to where that custom note is as well. So it's some nice tools just to jump around and navigate relatively quickly on my side. And then I can go and check and I can say, cool, is this note good? It looks pretty good to me. That's very nice. And I did want to actually investigate because I worked on this note quite late last night. I was having to do this. It's all kinds of data that Mr. Baguette wanted, and I want to go and take a look at this note as well, right? So we're going to check at what's going on here. So let's run the print preview format, print preview, and we're going to see how everything looks. Now, we can go and take a look. I didn't say, I actually didn't say preview sheet. I said preview the whole document, so it's the whole doc, but that's fine. Let's jump around. We can use the little navigation here on the side, right? And we can jump around and take a look. And okay, I do see a bit of an issue with the PPE. And Taff, we'll chat about that in a bit. But first, let's take a look at this note, right? So I went and created a note last night. First, well, check out Taff's note. How nice is that, eh? She built that, what, in about 15 minutes? Looks perfectly in line with how the Draftworx notes looks. Very, very nice. Now I built this one obviously last night. It was a bit of a time because this note doesn't really look nice, right? Let's take a look. So firstly, it's not really in line. So we've got it's off center here. I would like the column D to actually sit here in this extra section of the file, right? So it's nicely shifted up, all of that. So that's not very nice for me. And then the other thing is it cuts in two, right? Which is fine because my page is running out. But what I've heard Mr. Baguette would want is he would just want us to include our header information on this sheet as well, right? So let's jump back into the financials and we're going to go and work on that a bit. So jumping into the financials, we have our table over here. And this is a really cool feature that we built recently. It is a little bit complex, so I'm going to go through it, but please, everyone, stay focused on it. Now, what I'm going to do is I am going to say, right, this is my table as a whole. Where are the headers of this table, right? The headers are here. So this is my heading section. If I want the space, then that's included, right? So let's say I'm going to select both of those, right? So I select just the two cells over here. And what I want to do is I'm going to build this note now so that the headings appear on the next page automatically without me having to manually kind of go and do it and play around with it, right? So how do we do that? What we're going to do, we first need to tell Draftworx that this is a table, and we need to tell Draftworx that this table contains headings over here. So the way we do that is we select some of the cells in the table. I usually just select column C. You don't have to select everything. I'm going to go to design, and I'm actually going to go create a name range. Now, we spoke a little bit about name ranges in the basic, and it's essentially tools that the system can use to pull data from different places. And also we've built it now that it can change the preview and modify the preview a bit. Now what we're going to do here is this name range needs a very, very specific name. All right. So it has to start with the word, oops, that's not right. I don't know what happened there. There you go. It has to start with the word table. Right? And then I'm going to say, what table is it? So is it table number 1? Is it table for bank accounts? Is it table for whatever? So I'm going to say custom note. All right? custom note 1. Okay, and then I'm going to underscore it, and I'm going to type in, you can see it's actually remembered what I typed in earlier. I practiced a little bit for this quite clearly. But what we have is we're going to actually go and say custom table, custom note 1. The reason for 1 is then I can go make others. If I customize other notes, I can make a custom note 2, 3, 4, all of those kind of things. So I'm going to say repeat header. And I have to be careful with my spelling. So what counts here in Draftworx is the table at the front, and then the underscore and repeat header at the back. Those are very important. You can put in whatever you want over here, but those are important because what that does is it now builds it so that Draftworx knows that this is essentially a table. These are the headers for my custom note 1, right? I'm going to say, okay, fantastic. And now I've built that in place. All right, so that's fantastic. Can I run the print preview now? No, it's not going to work just yet. What I need to do is I need to go and tell Draftworx, okay, I've told it what, table, where the headers are, but I haven't told it where the table itself is. And so I'm going to go, and again, I'm going to select the whole table. Right? And now I'm going to go create that name range again. But this time what I'm going to do, I somehow copy pasted it, just saves a whole bunch of time. And instead of saying repeat header, I'm going to just take that out. And now I just have my header name, right? So now it's just table custom note 1. So what have I done here? I have told Draftworx that essentially the 2 rows over here are my header rows. And essentially all of this is my table. All right. And what that happens then is, because I've done that, it's such a nice feature that the developers built for us. If I now run my preview, the system realizes and it says, oh gosh, there's a full table, but it's being split into 2. So we don't want that. It looks ugly if we don't have headers on that. So let's go and automatically add the table headers further down, right? So you can see there I've got my column A, column B, and we've got that as well. All right, so then it duplicates the header without me having to go and, go in here, insert a bunch of rows and retype my headings or anything like that. I don't have to worry about that now because we've built that note to essentially Draftworx automatically gets, okay, this is a table, and we want to keep the headings consistent so that every page that this table appears on, it's going to repeat those headers. So very nice. It's a very cool tool just to make things look really professional on your side. And I mean, that's what we want. We want you guys to be able to deliver beautiful financials like this that we're going to give to Mr. Baguette. And going on from there, the other thing that I did mention is, right, our table is off center. Right, we've got column D and it's sitting in here. I want it to actually be here and just look a little bit neater. Now what Draftworx has, what it does is we determine which rows print. Now a lot of our existing notes, we automatically kind of determine which column should print and which one shouldn't. If it's a custom note, so this was a custom note that I built, so it's not going to figure it out by itself. So what do? I need to tell it in which column to print. All right, and what I'm going to do is in this heading of the note itself, I'm going to go and I'm going to tell it, okay, print these columns for me. I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to type in ones, and you can see those are actually not showing. Why? Because I actually went earlier and I made this white. Sorry, usually it would probably be black text. Okay, that's fine. So I've made it one. So what I'm saying to Draftworx is print these columns for me, please. But I don't want this last column to print because what's happening is Draftworx is printing this last column and it's causing the gap to be over here. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to just type in a 0 over here. And let's see how that works. We're going to run the print preview. If we need to fix anything, we'll get back to it. But let's see. I think it's almost as simple as that and we should be good. We'll run the print preview again and we'll have a quick investigation and see if there's anything else we need to sort there. All right, let's go and check. Well, look at that. It's already shifted up, right? So there it is, a note of numbers, and our column D is now nicely in line where I want it. So we can see the difference. There's the old one, there's the new one. And we know we are happy with what we've produced here. Fantastic. Now, one of the other things that I did see is, and that we would like to have, is these colors, these beautiful colors. Mr. Baguette asked us, hey, can I have some colors in my financial statements, especially this note? It's such a beautiful note. He just wants this note to keep looking as nice as it does. So what am I going to do? There are colors in the Excel, but they're not showing up in my print preview. It is a setting that we have built in. Why do we do that? Because Draftworx itself has a whole bunch of colors, right? We communicate to you using colors in our cells, right? So we say any rounding sits on these little yellow things. Any differences have these little orange cell backgrounds. Where you need to type in data, it's the dark blue. So we communicate there to you. So I want to activate to have colors in my cells, but I also don't want all of the Draftworx communication cells essentially to make my file look ugly. So what we're going to do, all right, we've built in a very nice setting in my print preview. There is this under the all section, miscellaneous, we've got the clear cell background option, and currently it's activated, meaning we are actively clearing all the cell backgrounds and we're taking everything away. Now we don't want that, so I'm going to cancel that. And I'm going to apply, and let's see what happens, right? We're going to see, and it's going to print, and there you go. Beautiful, my colors are there. However, we can see, okay, there's a green line there. I'm not sure what's going on. If we scroll up, oh, look at that. That PPE looks horrible. There's blue lines all over the show. So that's not going to work. Oh no, what has gone wrong? Well, as I said, Draftworx communicates to you with colors. And we haven't told Draftworx to ignore the Draftworx colors. So I told it to not clear the cell backgrounds, but I need to tell it ignore the system colors as well. And as soon as I do this, and I'm going to say apply again, now it's going to go and it's going to say, okay, all of the colors that Draftworx uses, we're going to leave white and we're going to clear them. But all of the unique colors, those colors we're going to keep. And so we can go and build some beautiful tables. If your clients want pretty things, we can give them pretty things. And Mr. Baguette is French. He really loves his pretty things. So we're going to go from there, right? Our file looks pretty good. However, Tav, what is going on with this PPE note? It looks horrible. Look at that. I mean, they don't have any land or buildings. Mr. Baguette owns the whole of France. He doesn't need land in his books. And so I don't understand why that's even printing.
I think let's navigate. Let's navigate to your note, your PPE note quickly. So just scroll to the top of your sheet for me.
Scroll up. Yeah.
So you'll see I already can identify what the issue is. So you'll see where we have row 15, where it says balances at year-end movements. Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Mr. Baguette didn't want that to actually say balances at year-end movements. He just wanted the PPE note, and then he wanted the recon to show. So he asked me to get rid of it. So I just hid it. Was that fine?
You just switched off the row. No, so I'm going to tell you the perfect fix when a client requests that particular request. So that row heading, you'll see that row 15 has got a little hash. That means that it is a header row. Header rows are very important in Draftworx because they tell the system how the pages and how the information is supposed to be oriented. So the moment that you switch it off, you're making that row not applicable, and then that actually means that the system now doesn't know how to orient the information. So the correct way and fix to show it the way Mr. Baguette wants is turn on the row. So you want to turn on the row, click the little hash as well so that it is our header that is automated. And then what you're going to do, you're going to select cell C and D15. And then you're going to make the text for those cells white. So under format, your font color, you want to change it to white so that it doesn't print. And then you're going to switch off row 14 and 16 so that we don't have a random blank space between the header and the actual note. And you'll see that what we actually wanted to show is now going to be looking the way that we want it to look. Please just preview and let's see if that solves our issue.
Let's have a quick look and see if that fixes it for us. One thing that I want to note, everyone, thanks so much, Taff. That's beautiful. And one thing that I want to note for everyone, right? When you are making changes like this constantly on cloud, one of the things that sometimes that people do is they'll make a change, they'll hop back to the preview, and then you kind of have to, sometimes the preview is not updating, and sometimes it's going to give you a little pop-up here on the side that says, do you want to refresh? If you want to avoid that, just click the preview again. What it's going to do is it's going to automatically initiate a save, and then it's going to immediately print that saved file. So when I'm working on Draftworx and I make a change, instead of saving and waiting, I'm just going to hit preview. It initiates that save, and then it runs the preview for me. It's a nice little time saver. You don't have to go every single time and wait for the save to complete and refresh the print preview then. It's much faster just to kind of do it like that. There you can see my change. If I go to my other file, sorry, you can see that it is saying the tab's been updated, refresh. So now I can only refresh this one. This one wouldn't be updated just yet. You can see that little 6 that I typed in, isn't here? It's just something I wanted to mention. I have seen it as a question that pops up quite often. So I like to do that. I just make my edits and then I just click preview. Anyway, I do apologize, Taff, for jumping in there, but thank you. I can see that our PPE note is beautifully fixed now. So as Taff mentioned, with our PPE note, it has these header rows, and Draftworx has these all over the show. You'll see it in my inventories again. There's a header note, right? There's the little hashtags. And similar to how I controlled for my custom note over here with the 1s and the 0s, right? Draftworx does it automatically for you in these complex notes. We have a whole bunch of formulas in these cells that you can't see. They're hidden, but they go and test. They test, does this column have data in? If it does, print it. If it doesn't, don't print it. And so Draftworx controls for you. And that's why if you disable these headers, as I had done so silly from me, it goes and it removes all of that data. And then the system doesn't go and do the test, and then it prints everything that it can see, because we'd rather print everything than miss some things, right? All right, fantastic, cool. So let's go on. I think that looks a lot better. We're going to go play around. One of the other things that we often see is we need to move some notes around. And if we do need to move a note around, I'm going to scroll through and we're going to take this custom note that you built up, and it's beautiful. And we're going to take it. I'm going to shift it above this note of numbers because, well, it was asked essentially to just be above it. So very simply, I'm going to go click on the heading of that note, go to design, and there are 2 buttons here, move up and move down. And I'm simply going to say move up, and it's going to move your group. And there you go. Magic, boom, it moved up the whole group. It's below it. The numbers update automatically. So you can see, there you go, that 9 has updated now, right? Because we had the auto number activated on this note. On top of that, Taff did make a little adjustment on the accounting policies. And there you go, refer to note, right? You built that. And you can see it automatically updates to 9 as well. So the formulas and the note numbers should automatically update throughout the port when you go and do these things. All right, fantastic. So that's that. Now let's start reviewing a little bit more, right? So I am going to run through here. This cover page looked fine. The index, perfect. I've got some automated page numbers, glorious. This looks fine. And if we hop here, okay, well, Taff, I'm not sure what happened here, right? I think I tried copy pasting some things in yesterday from another file that we're doing. It's that one that I spoke about on Tuesday. I think we should just replace this with like the normal one that Draftworx has again. How do I do that?
Okay, so it's very simple to actually replace the sheet. All we have to do is go to template tools in your menu ribbon.
Okay.
And then you'll see there's an option to say import sheets from template right on the left. If you click that button, it's going to pop up a little screen where you can select which sheet you actually want to replace. You can select multiple at a time. And what this is going to do is going to replace the whole sheet, the formula, formatting, everything, so that it is as per how it was before, as if nothing ever happened.
All right. Oh, there you go. Okay. Let's see. It seems to be working. Some things are happening. Let's just quickly take a look. Oh, gosh. Okay. There you go. Director's responsibilities back to normal. We don't have to worry about anything. Fantastic. Thanks so much, Steph. That is brilliant. All right. So jumping forward, auditor's report. I'm not going to worry about the auditor's report, right? Our auditors are going to send us a PDF for that. We're ready for that. That being said, I'm going to touch on it very quickly. With the auditor's report, you will see that Draftworx populates your wording here automatically, right? What's your opinion? What's the basis of the opinion? If I go and I activate either qualified adverse or disclaimer or whatever it is. So let's say I'm going to just go and activate the qualified opinion. As you can see, Draftworx automatically goes and updates that. So just a note, you don't have to worry that we're not going to update for you. It goes and does the work for you and automatically pulls in, and you can go and type in what are the reasons for the qualification, all of those kind of things. So just be aware of that. It keeps it simple. Draftworx tries to automate as much as possible for you, right? That's essentially what our main focus is at Draftworx. Then report compilation. Very simply, this report compilation has been put together. It's pretty standard. There's not too much to worry about. There are sections that you can open again if you need to go. I'm happy with this as is. We're not going to worry too much about that. Same with my director's report. Here you go. We've put in already some wording there. That's beautiful. And, we've worked through all of these items. There's not too much to worry about here. Again, if we do see anything where we want to maybe activate something or change something, very simply, right, we do the little dots on the side. Just tick, and you can see different sections are getting activated as we tick and we untick these things. So it keeps it very simple. All right. Let's hop to the SFP. Fantastic. Well, Taff, I've got to say, I had a little bit of a problem. Now, I was trying to balance the PPE note, and I had a little bit too much sourdough last night as well. Me and Mr. Baguette were having a bit of a care. And, well, clearly you can see I think I just kind of lost it for a bit. I do apologize. But how do I fix this? Can I get this back?
Yes, we definitely can get this back. And the moment that we do, we are definitely going to chat about where's the Independence Day. But back to how to get back these cells. So again, you want to select all the cells where you've gone and made any changes. So you will know where it went a little bit sideways. And then under template tools, you'll see that there's an option here that we have that actually says replace cells from template. Now, if you click that button, it's going to replace the formulas in the cells that you've selected to be as per the template, as if, again, nothing ever happened. So there we go. Now it has been replaced. We'll give it a few seconds to load, and we should be good to go.
Oh, there you go. Look at that. That's fantastic, eh? Guys, there's no such thing as too much sourdough, man. The mistakes are all gone. Fantastic. I love it. Thank you so much, Taff. Saving lives over here. All right. All right. Let's take a look at a couple of other things that we are able to do on this template tools tab. So template tools is an extremely powerful section of our financials that we built in Draftworx. As you could see, it can fix big mistakes. Like I just, didn't make any mistakes. It was just some sourdough fun. But we can go and do a lot with these template tools. There's a couple of other things we can do here. So we've touched on the replace sheet. If you've made a huge mistake, want to bring the whole template back to ours, there you go, replace the sheet. Secondly, we have a switch SOCI with the detailed income statement. It's a bit of an interesting one. We do get that request quite often, and so we built something in for it, where if you want to switch how my statement of comprehensive income looks And I actually want to switch it and make it look like my detailed income statement. So I have the detailed list of expenses rather than, the summarized. I can select that and it just does that switch for us. Very useful tool if that is how you want the financials to look. I'm going to leave it like this for now. I'm happy with the IFRS standard required there. Now, disclosure update, add links. I mentioned them a little bit earlier on the working trial balance, right? We have those same buttons over here. Disclosure updates, add links. And with those buttons, what do they do? So disclosure update, if I select that, you're going to see we've got a whole list of things and it gives us a bit of a description of what that is. Now, in this case, everything's already been ticked. Why is that? Well, we created this file on Tuesday, so it's up to date with the most recent Draftworx updates on our side. However, you do a client set of financials once a year. If we do this file this year, we complete it, and now next year we're taking a look, we're jumping into the file, all those kind of things, and we start working on the file. But there have been big changes with IFRS or IFRS SME. There's big changes coming to IFRS SME next year, right? We're already looking at those. And we're going to build that into the template. Now, what we do from Draftworx side is we don't want you to lose the customization that you have done, right? That beautiful note that Tav built us, right? If we go and update the whole note sheet, boom, what happens? That customization is lost. All right. However, what is useful is these tick boxes, they will go and target specific sections of the financials and bring the updates in there. So if there was a change, let's say the tax update, right? It's only going to affect the tax calc sheet. It's not going to affect other portions of your file. And so it's super useful. We have this in the roll forward as well, where if you see these tick boxes that are unticked, go and tick them. It will make sure that you stay up to date with all of the latest changes that's required by law and required by IFRS. And so you're never going to have a problem where you're presenting something to a client and it's like, well, this is actually not in line with what IFRS standards say. So please just keep an eye on that disclosure update. I always check it when I roll forward a file. Ideally, that's probably the easiest place to have a look at it. The other option that we have is add links. Now, it works in a very similar manner. I have worked, and we've done a whole bunch of work on these financials already, right? We've gone and sorted out our PPE note. We've gone and we've worked and built our little custom notes, all of these things. And now we get to a situation, let's say we have 5 different bank balances here, all right? And Mr. Baguette comes to me and says, but listen, you guys forgot, actually, I have 20 bank accounts, but they've just been summarized into, one on the working TB. I want you to split them out, or whatever it might be, something along those lines. Now, what I can do is, if I go add links, Draftworx has the ability to give you additional links that get added to the system, right? So before I do that, let's take a quick look at that working TB. So I'm going to go to the working TB, let's say bank accounts. And there you can see, right, we've got 5. So we're limited at the moment. And we're limited to 5 on the financial statements as well. Now, what are the options, right? Again, I can go insert rows and I can go build my own stuff. I can go type in stuff, but why type in when you can automate? It's a waste of time. And so what we're going to say is add links. I'm going to go and say bank over here. I'm almost using this search. And we're going to tick that. And as we tick it, we're saying now we're going to increase the bank accounts from 5 to 25. Brilliant. I've ticked that. I'm going to apply it. It's going to give me a bit of a big warning. Why? Because it is a big change that happens to your file. So be aware of it. Don't do it just for the fun of it. Don't go click every single tick box just in case you might need those accounts. It does make the file bigger. It does make it a little bit slower as well if it is a lot bigger. So use it sparingly. But I'm going to say, okay, fantastic. And it's now going to go build my bank accounts. Takes a second or two, works through, and what it's doing is it's actually going and inserting a whole bunch of rows for me in my note sheet without me doing anything. Right, so now if I scroll down, let's keep going down, down, down. And we're in our cash and cash equivalents. hey, presto, look at that. Now we've got 25 bank accounts. And why does Draftworx do this automatically? Because, well, you might have had to add it in different places. There's overdrawn bank account balances that also we need to be aware of. There's a whole bunch of places that we add things. So we know where everything needs to be added when we do these add link things. And so that's why we built it to automate it. And additionally, if we go back to our working TB, we will see that now if I search bank again, hey, look at that again, 25. If you have a giant company and, like the Mother Doe, they've got 500,000 bank accounts because, as I said, they own the whole of France. Well, they have thousands of bank accounts. How are we going to deal with it in Draftworx? Well, Draftworx can add up to 999 extra bank accounts for you. So give us a mail, hop onto support, and be like, this is the biggest company ever. They've got 999 bank accounts. Please add them. And our support team can do that. But 25 is the default. Generally, most people don't go over that. And use it if you need it. It's really useful and saves quite a bit of time. Okay, fantastic. So that's our add links, all of those. Apply additional practice. What does that do? Well, if I've got another audit firm, and like my audit firm, as we said, they're going to send us a PDF. All right. But if you've got an audit firm and they just like, no, we're going to just send you the wording, please just copy paste it in. That's fine and well. But what we can then do is I can go and the names over here, well, they are now currently set to our names, right? And we want it set to the auditor's names. And that's what this does. So apply additional practice. You can see I select it and it changes to my auditor's details, right? And this is then linked to my client setup. So if I were to update the auditor's details in the client setup, then these would change again as well. So quite a useful little tool. And you are just able to essentially go and easily bring in the different practice details there. Replace cells from template. We touched on that over here on the statement of financial position. I had the big mess up. It's sorted now. Fantastic. And then there is a find replace client setup. You don't really have to worry about that we've built for the Draftworx support team. There was a switch over at a stage for really old files that we needed it for. I'm not even too much worried about that one at all, in fact. The other thing that we have here is the detailed income statements. Now, what is that? We can add additional detailed income statements. By default, there is a single one, which combines everything, right? I have my fees, there's some rent, there's sale of goods. Now, what happens is Mr. Baguette is like, okay, but please, can we split out our rent essentially from, let's say, the sale of goods, or let's say, let's split out the fees, in fact. And we want to show it separately. We want to be able to group our expense categories, right? Our expense, essentially where they expense to and so on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually hop to my working TB and I'm going to go find those accounts, right? So let's say we're going to somehow use fees, right? We're splitting that out. How do I split it out? You'll see there's a column that says type over here. I can select that and I'm just going to say it's income statement number 2. And what that does is it now links essentially this with a separate income statement. I'm going to do the same. I'm going to go and say, hey, let's add something else there, right? The dojo expenses quite clearly is part of the training. So we're going to add that to our fees and we're going to go and do that. So now we've got a 2 there and 2 there. I'm not going to go through and do the rest, but you can go obviously very ingrained and very in detail, go and split everything up. On that note as well, when you do the import via Excel, you can also go and actually specify which income statement type it should be. Should it be 1, 2, 3, or whichever? So if you have a situation where you've got maybe a really complex client, their normal trial balance, everything's combined, you had to go manually split it out in Excel, those kind of things. When you do that import, just to show you guys quickly, when you do that import, you'll see there is a type button I can select as well. And that would actually then be able to switch between my income statement 1, 2, 3, or whichever, however many you have. So it's a nice little tool on the import. It saves time because it's it's a click and okay, switch. you're doing it in Excel, you can copy paste it across and all kinds of fun things. So it speeds up time a little bit there. But yeah, that's essentially that. So now if I go back to our financials, let's refresh, and it's going to take a second or two. What it will do now is it's actually going to duplicate our detailed income statement. And it's going to make 3 in total. Why 3? Well, the first one remains my standard detailed income statement, everything combined, showing my combined revenue items. Detailed income statement 1 are all the items that are the normal items, right? So we've got our sale of goods, we've got our cost of sales, all of the other things. So that's everything in here that essentially, well, doesn't have a 2. And then lastly, 2 is now the new one that I created, and that's essentially where my fees is. There you can see my dojo expenses, and it splits them out, and I can go and now split between my different cost centers, and a client can clearly see which cost center is making money, which one isn't, and all of those kind of things. So extremely useful. Yeah, very, very nice little tool that was built in. And you can split this. The default is 5. You'll see if I select the detailed income statement, the default is 5. You can put that up to 99. If you have a really complex file, yeah, good luck if it is 99. But yeah, it is, the ability is there, right? So use it if it is what your client wants. All right, so we've worked through our template tools at the top here. What are some of the other things that we do need to look at, right? So let's jump through. We were at the SOFP earlier, right? We fixed our big mistake there. Statement of comprehensive income, very simple, actually. It just pulls in everything from, well, from the TB. And we can go and make edits here, but generally you're going to leave this, let Draftworx do the calculations, because, well, we do it according to how you classified it in the working TB. Then hopping through statement of changes in equity, Tefats was explained that beautifully earlier, where she just explained how we do some recon there. And then we obviously have the cash flow. And I know that this one was mentioned in our basics, but there are some really nice tools here just to clean up your file a bit. So let's say for some reason, I've got a random 1 there. That looks horrible. Let's clean that up. Use the little rounding cells. They're so awesome. Why they're awesome? Because even if as a manager or partner, let's say I wanted to get rid of that -1, okay? One of the ways I can do it is I can go and type it in the back of the formula here. I want to get sick. I want to get sick. That's horrible. Don't do that. Why don't do that? Who is going to know that you typed in that -1 next year? Who on earth? You're not going to know. You're going to forget. It's a year down the line. Don't do it. It's very, very bad. Don't do it. I'm gonna just before my support guys just come hit me with a stick, I'm gonna clean that up. And what we're gonna do instead is we're gonna go and just type it in the yellow thing. Hey, look at that. It has the exact same effect. It's easier because I don't have to go and worry about the formula. And everyone can see what happened. I went and I cleaned up that R1, right? So use it. It makes life 1,000 times easier. All right, let's go take a look at the rest of the file. Accounting policies. I'm going to jump through this. This is a whole bunch of text. Make sure it's in line with what your client actually does use. We obviously have it in place on our side, but yeah, just go and double check. From there, notes. Well, what is that? Again, we've been covering the notes the whole time. There's a split between them. Then the first one is all of our asset notes. Second one, our liabilities. Third one, all of our statement of comprehensive income ones, plus your additional notes. So plus your notes that go to essentially like your related party notes, any of your risk notes, all of that also sits here in notes 3. So just have a look at that one. We do have one hidden notes, and you'll see it's notes number 4. Why do we hide it? It's not really used too often. And notes 4 just consists of anything where there are items that are essentially changing, big changes, prior period errors, changes in accounting policies that affect my financials, all kinds of things. It's not used that often, but it is a note that has that. You would just detail what the error was or what the change is, and then you would detail what the impact is of that error or of that change. And that's essentially note sheet 4. Detailed income statements we covered. let's take a look at the tax, right? Fantastic. We're going to look at the tax here. And Taff, one of the things that was interesting is Mr. Baguette let me know that this 2026 year, he's actually no longer a small business because they have taken over, half of France. They are no longer a small business. Doesn't allow. So we're going to actually deactivate specifically only for 2026 year. So that's super useful. We can split it, right? And so now it's going to treat my 2026 year as a full amount versus prior year is not full. Fantastic. So let's go take a look. There seems to be a small rounding error. I'm not worried too much about that. We can fix that in the journals, but I'll do that a little bit later. However, what I'm not too happy about here is that I have some tax amounts here, and there's a difference in my statement of financial position. It looks like my statement of comprehensive income is fine, though, so that's nice. Now, how does this work? What's Draftworx doing? It is going and it's taking your calculated tax amount, right? Normal tax plus or minus any movements gives us your total per statement of comprehensive income. Let's go check. So that's 137, statement of comprehensive income, income tax expense, 137. Beautiful. They match. And that is why my statement of comprehensive income difference here is 0. However, my statement of financial position is out of balance. And why is that? Well, we need to go and take things into account that happened during the year. Because what's Draftworx doing? Draftworx is saying, all right, last year's closing amount was 305,000 that we had to pay tax. Therefore, the balance brought forward is 305 plus my current year's total tax. And it's like, well, listen, according to us, you need to pay 442,000. Now, if that were to happen, Mr. Baguette would, well, I'm not even going to talk about it. It's going to be problems. So he's essentially going to lose his mind, right? That's way too much. So what are we doing here? We have to fix this. But let's go and take a look. We need to use our professional judgment, right? Okay, what could have happened? Well, did they go pay that amount off that they owed last year? Maybe they did. Fantastic. There's a box for that. Let's type it in. Minus. And they did go and pay it. I actually popped open the details on my side. The statement of account from the taxman says they did go pay it. Fantastic. What else has happened? Okay, we're still out of balance. That's not cool. What else could have happened? Well, let's take a look. Provisional tax. Maybe they paid that. Go and check your statement of account. Saves a whole lot of time. And there you go. Boom. We get a 0 over there. Now you can see it's balanced. Why does balance? That 81,000 matches my statement of financial position. If we go down to our current liabilities, and guess what? Hey, 81,000, it matches. And that's essentially why there's a 0 here now. Go and check your things. There can be interest, there can be all kinds of things. But be aware that it's not going to magic itself. The tax calc, you have to go and actually put in the data and enter all of that info. Cool. Now, let's look at a few things. One of the things that I saw, Taff, was that our auditor actually asked that we insert a schedule over here on the detailed IS. And I'm not sure what he sent, but I know he sent it to us on the client portal. So fantastic news. What I'm going to do, let's go to the client portal. There's a couple of ways. I can go there, global client portal, or click over here and view client portal. And we're going to see, okay, there is our client portal. Include share register on the AFS. It's been created by Steve Bread. Fantastic. Thanks, Steve. And we've gone and we have to go and do it. Cool. Let's go click on it. He gave us a folder that we can a file that we can download. So I could download it there. If I click on that, alternatively, I can go find it in files. Something important to double check as well. You'll see it says audit documents. And as Tav mentioned, this is where the auditor will only be able to see that. He's not going to see the rest, and the client's not going to see what's in here. I can see everything. So in audit documents, there you go. There's that same share register, and we're going to just grab that and we're going to send it to Draftworx. Now, important here, when we send it to Draftworx, make sure we select the correct engagement. Why? Because we combined all of the different engagements in Draftworx into this entity in the client portal. They all show up here. You can see there's starter culture, there's mother doe. So we're going to say, make sure 2026, and we're going to go select the folder. All right. So let's go and dump it into the documents. Okay. And it sends it to Draftworx. Beautiful. And we can go and have a double check. If it is here, let's just check. There's the shareholder register. So it is here. One of the things to note, sometimes if you send it directly from the client portal to Draftworx, it might not appear immediately. You might just need to like go out to the client list and back. We'll get that sorted. It's just something I did note the other day. And so there's the shareholder register. Fantastic. So now we want to bring in that shareholder register into the file. That's what the auditors want. Okay, how are we going to do that? I'm not going to copy paste. It's going to be a deathly to do that. So what we're going to do is under content, there's a button that says import sheet. Fantastic. Click on that button and it's going to open up the section where I can go and search my folders. And these folders match up, right? There's client setup, there's financial data, taxation, all of those. And so I threw it into documents. So documents over there, documents over here, shareholder register, select it. Hey, look at that. It gives me a list of sheets that I want to import. So I select my list. If it was more, I could select multiple, and I'm just going to say import. And now it's going to load and it's going to import that list into my financial statements. All right. And you'll see, because I had the detailed I selected, it's going to insert it in front of that. Right. And here you can see we have our little shareholders certificate or shareholder movements that we have here. So fantastic. And that's pretty much what that insert import sheets does. Really useful tool and brings in all of the information quite quickly. All right, let me take a quick look at the other things we're looking at. Yeah, one of the other things we can do is we're also able to hyperlink to certain things. All right, so let's say we want to make the life easier for our auditors. All right, we always do want to do that. They're quite pricey. So let's make life easier for them. Mr. Baguette would appreciate that. So what are we going to do? Let's say we've got the PPE. Now we imported our fixed asset register in the basics. All right, we brought that into Draftworx. Fantastic. So now what are we going to do? We want to guide the auditors from here, from looking at it from here and actually going into and finding it. So first thing that Draftworx has is we do have leads for you, which is fantastic, right? The leads allows the auditor to go, okay, fantastic. Let me see all of the PPE items, clicks on that 30.02. And here we have a list of all of the accounts that total up to our total for the asset, right? Nice and simple. However, from here, we want to guide them to our supporting documentation. And what we're going to do is I'm going to go to, for example, my fixed assets over here. I'm going to click on the reference column. And I've got a couple of options. I can either go to hyperlinks here, or the shortcut is here on the side, hyperlinks. And what it does is it pops open a list of all of my folder structure. You can see there's financial data and there's my lead schedules, right? So it kind of opens all of them that's needed. And in documents, again, we have our fixed asset register, which I can just double click on. As soon as I double click on it, it gives me a little breakdown. If you follow the Draftworx example of putting little numbers in front of your supporting documentation, like 30.02 or whatever, Draftworx is actually going to keep it very neat. It will insert the hyperlink with just those little numbers. It'll look neat and tidy, and you can do that. In this case, we were a little bit gung-ho, but it looks okay. We're going to click on that, and obviously it jumps back to our fixed asset register, and that's beautiful. So that adds it back in here. And that's essentially the hyperlinks. Super useful, just breaks things down nice and quickly on our side. A couple of other things we want to check. So let's hop onto that file. I'm still reviewing. There is still a possible note mismatch. So let's go and check what has happened in my note? Well, if I have a look here, we can go and say, oh, okay, we don't have a difference in this, but we have a difference over here, that 85,000. And that's in our motor vehicles, right? So why did that happen? Well, we didn't put in data here, right? I deleted it earlier when I was working. As I said, a little bit too much shower. But anyway, so we're going to fix this. We're going to get this in. So I can type in the 85, which is the normal way to do it. Alternatively, one of the things we have built into the system is called Smart Docs. And what the Smart Docs are is you can essentially reference items from different sheets and different documents in Draftworx. So what I can do is, let me close the financials. I'm going to go here. And I'm going to say, okay, on our asset register, here's our additions column. So that total addition should go into our Draftworx additions section. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select that. I'm going to go to design and I'm going to say create Smart Doc range. What does that do? So Smart Doc, I click it. It's going to say, okay, the reference is my fixed asset register. That's the document it's going to pull the data from. The range is the cell. And I'm going to give it a name. So I'm going to say, let's just say what additions, add for motor vehicles. I'm going to keep it simple. Add MV. Cool. I can roll it forward as well, meaning if I want to use the same document next year, then we can actually roll this forward and Draftworx is going to remember it, which is actually super useful. So now I've added it. Fantastic. Let us save this document. Make sure that it is saved. One of the things to remember, we're working on cloud, we're working with servers, so it does have to save before it gets sent through. Let's go open up the financial statements again. And this is going to now allow us to essentially link that document to the note. So going to the note, we can go again to design, and instead of creating a Smart Doc range, we're going to just select the Smart Doc. And you can see there's my add MV, the total value, all of that. And we're actually just going to select it and look at that. It pulls in my value for me. I can format it nicely if I want, all of those things. But it pulls in the value and it should be good to go from there. So it's just a nice tool that we've built in that essentially goes and assists in, well, bringing in your changes from the different places. Now, one thing I want to have a look at here, this thing is not adding in nicely for me. Let's see why. You know what? I think the formatting might have been off on that document. So let's go check. One thing to remember, your formatting would have to be nicely set up. And I think that is just because it's custom formatting. I'm just going to quickly modify that there. We'll have a look and see if that works. There you go. Now the numbers add up nicely. Fantastic. So that's our Smart Docs. Quite a useful tool. It does go and modify. And yeah, you don't always need it, but once you're doing a lot of clients a lot and quickly and you've got a standardized system, it really can save you quite a bit of time. Cool. Let's take a look at anything else. All right, we can probably jump to the print preview. Tav, anything on your side that you are aware of that we might have missed?
I think we've covered most of it. Hey, I think we are ready for the print preview and the fun stuff that's there.
Fantastic. I'm also ready to get this done. So let's be finished with this. I'm going to make sure this file's going to look neat and tidy. And let's run the preview. And as we run that preview, you know what? I just got a message from the auditors. They are very happy that we decided to add those hyperlinks in for them and make life easy for them. And they've sent us the audit report. So that's fantastic. So now I don't need this Draftworx audit report anymore. We're going to actually now use the auditor's one, right? So let's go again. They sent it to us on Client Portal. View Client Portal. Let's go see if we can find it. And I'm going to hop to, I don't see it in a request. So I'm going to hop to my files, audit documents. There it is. audit report. I'm going to send it to Draftworx again. And we're going to send it through. Whoops, there you go. And now we want to replace that audit report that they sent us. Well, we want to replace this one with that one, right? What we're doing in Draftworx, under the print settings, we have an all section over here. If we scroll down a little bit, you'll see there's a thing that says sheets, and it says attach PDF sheets on my side. So what does that mean? I can attach PDF sheets to my reports. I'm going to just scroll down here. I'm going to find the audit report. I'm going to click on the little paper clip, and that is going to allow me to either attach the file above, below, or replace. So above, not below, we're not doing either of those today, but we're going to replace it. Replace completely, get rid of it. And it gives us, again, that folder search where we're searching the folders. And we're going to go and say documents, and there's my audit report. Select it, and you'll see it crosses out the Draftworx one. It says it's been replaced, and it says it's been replaced with that PDF. And now I can apply it. And it's going to bring in our audit report from our side. Fantastic. The auditors are very happy with us. I believe they are going to sign off on everything. Let's take a look. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's anything wild. Oh, look at that. Ooh, that looks good.
Wow.
That looks good. But anyway, okay, focus. We got to get this done. Let's get this done. Okay. One of the things that I do want to go and do is I want to quickly pop onto the letterheads. Now, I know we went and you put in a beautiful letterhead for us already. But something that I saw the other day, and I was like, oh, you know what, that would be beautiful. And I know that Mr. Baguette would love it, is to put almost a little logo into every page. So we're going to put a little logo of his company on every page. So instead of just having it here on the front, we're going to go play around and we're going to make it look beautiful. So how do I do that, right? We want to add another letterhead. We've got the one, letterhead number 1. That's the standard one that we've already created for our compilers report. I want to create another one. Click on the plus icon. We've got a letterhead number 2. We've got options. We can either bring in an image directly. Click here to drop an image in, and I can go find an image, whatever I want. The problem with this is that image isn't scaled or anything like that. So I would have to work a little bit to put it in the right place on my side. So I'm actually going to remove that. Boom. We're going to just remove that quickly. And what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to build myself a letterhead. So I'm going to go and build some custom visuals. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, I need a new letterhead. I'm going to create my own. I'm going to insert an image. And we're still going to grab his little image over here. And let's put it here in the top corner. We're going to scale it a bit. I'm going to do something like that. And I'm going to save it. Now Draftworx has created that for me, but obviously it's nowhere on the financials yet because I haven't applied it, but I've created a letterhead, and we can do this, as I said, with anything really. We can do it for our own letterheads, and that's how we created this one. But I can do it for this, which is a little bit more custom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say letterhead number 2 is the one I created. I actually want it on all of my sheets. So I'm going to actually tick there. I'm just going to go fix the one. We still want the Draftworx one. We don't want anything on the audit report. We probably don't want anything on the cover sheet. We don't want anything on the index. Let's go from the management page down. And we're going to apply. And what this is going to do, this is going to take our financials up a notch. And we're going to get all the bread we've ever wanted. Because check there, now we've got a cool little logo on every page. And you know what? I think Mr. Baguette's going to love that. If I don't like the positioning, I can go and adjust it. Edit image. Let's adjust it. Let's put it there. Save. And we're just going to bring it through again. And, you know, now it's going to shift it. And we'll see the shift as soon as it loads again. There you go. So we can kind of make the financials look really fantastic. There's a lot that you can do with the little images on the letterheads and so on. And so I do believe that this is just about ready to send to Mr. Baguette. I'm going to take off the Draftworx, or the draft logo, not the Draftworx logo. Take off the draft, and I am going to send it to him. And we'll send it to him via the client portal because I do love the tools there. So I'm going to click on the 2 arrows, send via client portal, and we're actually going to make it a request this time. So we are going to say, where do we want to send it? I want to send it to the financials folder. What am I going to call it? I'm going to call it the financials final. And we're going to say, create request and send. And we're going to say, please sign for us, Mr. B. And we're going to go and type in the rest there. Please sign whatever we can do. And then I'm going to assign it to Mr. Baguette. And I'm going to give it a due date. So if he doesn't sign by the end of tomorrow, I'm going to throw a fit. And then I'll give him a call. So we give him a due date. We put a little pressure on, and we can save. And super fantastic. Now this directly creates a request for him. And we'll see if we hop back to our client portal. Let's just jump into the requests. There's that request. Please sign Mr. B. It's been given to him. It's got a due date. And if we click on it, we can see, hey, check it out. There's the details. That's how it looks, all of that information. One of the things I did want to show everyone, but before I do, Taff, congratulations. We have completed a beautiful set of financials. And I think I'm pretty happy with it. I'm gonna leave it at that in terms of building our financials. One of the things that I did want to show everyone is I want to show you guys just how those requests look on the emails that come through from the client portal, just so you get a nice idea of it. We have been sending a bunch of files through on our side. And so let me quickly pop this open. It's very, very simple. It looks something like that. And that's the file that somebody would get. So it's a new file has been uploaded, sent to me. This was sent to me by Steve Bredd, our auditor, and it let me know. And if I were to click on this or click on view file, it actually jumps me to the client portal as well. So I just wanted to give you a nice idea. And there you can see there's our audit report that he gave us. Sorry. Anyway, so that's essentially how that works and how it looks. So super useful. That email's neat and tidy, and it just instructs them and helps people guide them to the different places and all of those kind of things. All right. So one of the last things we just want to show you is how do you do consolidations in Draftworx Cloud? So the system is fully capable of doing consolidations, and we can pull in data. Now, what we have here is Mr. Baguette has a holding company, and the holding company for all of this is the mother dough. All right, so we've been completing all these financials. So we finished the summarized sourdough, we've finished the mother dough's financials, and we've finished starter culture's financials. Now remember, you do want to finish the financials of the standalone entities before you go do a consolidation. It just makes life a whole lot easier, so you don't have to worry about things changing in the standalones and having to bring that data in. That being said, you should still be able to do that in Draftworx. Now we have already prepared for this consolidation. So what you'll see is we have all of our standalones, right? So starter culture, there's the holding company's standalone, the mother dough, and then obviously the summarized sourdough. So we have the 3 entities. We have also gone and created an entity specifically for the consolidation. And you'll see the framework is different. The name, the dates, everything else is the same, right? So you can see the mother dough framework is different, but like the date's still 2026 and the name is it. The reason for this is we do have to split these two. So we've got the standalone entity and then we've got the group. And so the standalone was created earlier, and now we've got this one. So I'm going to go into the one where I want to do the consolidation. And I'm going to bring in the data for those separate entities. The way that we do that is we're going to go into financial data onto the working TV. And we are then going to go and consolidate the data. Now, there is 2 ways of consolidating. You can consolidate via Excel. Alternatively, you can also consolidate using just Draftworx. So I'm going to first show you just Draftworx because there's a few cool things that we get from doing it like that. So when I consolidate using Draftworx, you'll see we've got this consolidation button. I would select it, and obviously no consolidation has been set up yet. So I'm going to just go to this little button that says consolidations, and it brings up a list of all of my active entities in Draftworx, right? All of my active engagements essentially. So now I can go and select the different ones. So let's say we've got starter culture. An important thing that you have to do is the company structure. What is that? So starter culture is one of the subsidiaries. We have Mother Doe, and Mother Doe is one of the holding companies. And then lastly, obviously, we have the Samurai Sourdough Company, and that's also a subsidiary. And so we've selected all three. Just double check the dates, make sure you've selected the correct dates for everything. And we can import directly. So we can go and just say next if we wanted to. If there's any foreign currency translation that needs to happen between these entities, we can toggle this on. And I'm going to say next. And the screen that we'll then see is we're going to see the foreign currency translation rates, where we need to say, but which of these entities, what is the spot and the average rate that you want to convert these currencies at? Now, it is very similar to how we went and, we changed the toggle foreign currency from before, but now we're doing it for the consolidation. So let's go and say this entity that we have here, we're bringing in spot and average. And I'm going to leave the prior years in this case. We're just going to do for that one. And that will now convert the values it comes, but only from my starter culture file. It's not going to convert anything from the other two. And so then we can again say next. If you've got interim rates, we can convert those as well. In this case, I'm going to leave that. And we can tell the system we want to bring in prior years as well and management accounts. So if you're doing monthly management packs and you want to consolidate and you want to show monthly data, you can select that. So where I can go here and say include prior year, we can do that. One thing to remember is if you've rolled forward a file that was consolidated last year, you generally don't want to include the prior year again, right? Because you've probably gone and made maybe a few adjustments or tweaks in the consolidated entity from last year. If you now go and tell it to include prior year, it's going to actually bring in the prior year from the separate entities and not the consolidated that you've rolled forward. So generally, you only use this the first time that you're doing this for an entity. And then I just say consolidate, right? The system's going to go and it's going to fetch the data from those different files. You will see that we now have an extra column over here called client. Well, extra two columns. The one says client and the other one actually has no name. It just has an S or an H in it. And the S is for subsidiaries and the H is for the holding entities. And essentially what has happened now, you can see it just brought in the data. It keeps the linking that we did in the standalone entity. It brings in the amounts and everything essentially just gets pulled in like that. So it's nice and easy in terms of how the system does that on our side. We'll bring in all of the data that you need and all of those things. You generally don't want to change, the linking too much in the consolidation, but you can. Ideally, you want to have everything set up and good to go in the separate entities. Now, how does the consolidation work from here? I still need to do elimination journals, maybe for some intercompany transactions, those kind of things. Now, what I want to do there is if we do a journal in Draftworx now, any journal that we do in the consolidated file, the system is going to assume is an elimination journal. So this journal can really be called anything I want, and Draftworx will automatically go and assume that this is an elimination journal. You will see if I type in, it is going to now also add the name at the front of the file. So let's say there's some sales that are intercompany sales, and we are going to just drop that over there, and we will go and let's take it out of the cost of sales for mother dough. Right. So that's essentially an elimination journal now. And now what has happened is Draftworx is going to treat that as an elimination. We can't do corrections in these files. So if I see I'm working through this and I'm like, oh no, you know what, there's a mistake in, let's say the bank account or the bank charges or one of the expenses. I'm not going to correct it in this file, in the consolidated entity. The reason being is Draftworx is going to assume that the journal is a elimination journal, and it's not going to treat it correctly. It's not going to actually do a correction for me, right? So what I would actually go do is I would go to the separate entity in Draftworx, and I would go and do the correction there. And what I can do is on the consolidation drop down, you can see there's two buttons, refresh link numbers and refresh opening balances. And these are specifically built for that situation where you have to go and make a correction in the standalone entities. And we just want to refresh the figures. So let's go and use an example. I'm just going to zero out some of my expenses here, right? If I go now and say refresh opening balances, it's going to go and it fixes those again. It goes back to the standalone entities and brings the figures in. In the same way, that's how the refresh link numbers works as well, right? So let's say I change one of these advertisings to bad debts and I'm like, oh no, there's a big mistake. Let's fix it. Instead of going and manually fixing it, we're just going to go refresh link numbers. And there you can see it fixes that one as well. So some nice tools. If you are doing corrections on the standalone entity still, you can work on the consolidated file and keep going from there. To then take a quick look, we do have the IFRS financials themselves. So IFRS SME financials, the consolidated one, the only real difference here, it doesn't work in a different way than the normal sets of financials. The only difference is now in most of our places where we've got data, right? So my statement of financial position, for example, we're looking at 4 columns of data for the group, 2 for the group, current and prior year, and then also 2 for the standalone company. And that is pretty much the main changes that come in when we do a consolidated entity. The data obviously becomes a whole lot more. So you'll see our notes also are a bit expanded. If you go take a look, like our PPE note would also have some expanded properties there. So if I go to my PPE note, we're also going to split, because now what we have to do is we have to reconcile both the group and the company, the standalone entity. So we do splits like that. But other than that, it's very much the same as the normal set of financials. All right, so I've shown you guys the one way to import your consolidated file and handle it using Draftworx with all the standalone files inside of Draftworx. Tefadzwa, can you quickly show everyone how to do it if we just used Excel? So if you didn't have all of the standalone entities in Draftworx and you just wanted to import. So I have deleted all of the data out of this mother file, so you can somehow use that one to show everyone. All right.
Great. Okay, I'm going to be sharing my screen. Perfect. So on our Excel TB, the same button that we click to import our TB, whether it's a consolidated file or non-consolidated file, is the same button we're going to use. So I'll click this button, the Excel button on the import, select my file, and then it's going to prompt me to select my trial balance on my PC. Then on import from Excel screen, I actually have to tell the system where in the Excel are my account numbers. You'll see some of my headings have already been predetermined for me. We always want to review this and make sure it's correct. So currently saying that my account numbers are in column D, that's correct. My account names are in column E, that's correct. I can see my debit amounts and my credit amounts are in column F, and that is correct. I don't have my link numbers because I'm going to do the linking. And then I have to specify the client name because remember, this is a consolidated trial balance. So then I'm going to assign my account, my client name to my column C where my companies are. And then I would then be able to import my consolidated trial balance. The same function here, where do you want to import these figures into? In our case, we're going to select opening balance. I'll click import. And then it's going to tell me, hey, you are importing a consolidation. Specify which company is the subsidiary and which company is the holding company in the structure. So we know our starter culture is a subsidiary. Mother Dough is the holding company, so I'll change that. Summarize Aldo is a subsidiary, so I'll leave it as is. Then I'm going to confirm. Once I confirm, you'll see that I have now imported my consolidated trial balance with my client names, my company names, my TBs. It's also specifying that this is the holding or subsidiary. And then also here, I've got my descriptions as well.
All right. Thanks so much, Steph. So it's very easy to do the import either way. And yeah, that's one of the nice things. So yeah, thanks. We just quickly wanted to show everyone that as well. That is pretty much everything from today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the advanced. If you ever need anything, please shout. As I mentioned, the client portal, if you want to get it, send us an email, support@draftworx.com, and we will give you access. Here's our information. If you need it, let me leave you that. There you go. Please use the info, and you guys are very, very welcome to contact us. Let us know if you want client portal access. Let us know if you've got any questions. If there's anything else you need from Draftworx, we're always happy to help. I'm sure a lot of you have got experience with our support team. Such fantastic people. Get a hold of them if you need anything at all. I always tell my clients, please don't get frustrated. If you're struggling to do something, if there's any issues, hop onto support. The team is there, they're ready and willing, and they are fantastic. So don't get frustrated. I know there's a couple of things that I've done. Yeah, listen, if a bot call like answers my phone call, I lose my mind. We don't have that. We actually have humans helping you. They understand you. They can talk to you, and they understand accounting, and we don't have to worry about any of those issues. So hop on, help us help you. Like really, don't get upset or frustrated at anything. And that, I think, is pretty much everything for today, Taff. Please put your camera on and say goodbye to all the people. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for the cloud webinars, the basic and the advanced. We enjoyed having you. We are doing more demos. So we are doing the working papers and XBRL. Yes, thanks so much, Taff. So we're doing XBRL and working papers. Working papers is the 3rd, XBRL is on the 5th, and then for the audit guys, RAC is on the 10th. And those are also the super smartest people ever that's hosting those, and they're gonna be there to teach you guys and give you guys free CPDs. Yay, everybody loves a free CPD. And so please join us for those as well. Thank you so much, Shane. Thank you so much, Clarissa, for handling all the Q&As. If you do need anything, please, you guys are always welcome to, as you can see, get a hold of our support team. Thank you. Have a fantastic afternoon further.